Amidst a spread of hearty food and drink, an adventurer insists that bread, meat, and booze are enough for a meal. However, our hero disagrees, pondering that a true meal should be more than just filling. It's about savoring deliciousness. With a knowing smile, he takes a sip, ready to prove his point. A young girl, cheeks flushed with warmth, savors a freshly baked roll, embodying the joy of simple pleasures. Her eyes sparkle with delight, echoing the sentiment that true flavor is life's finest spice. Nearby, a wooden door stands slightly ajar, inviting the promise of more culinary adventures. As the lively tavern buzzes with conversation, a seasoned adventurer regales the room with tales of his past exploits, boasting about his flawless slingshot skills. Our hero, slightly exasperated, listens with a knowing smile, having heard the story countless times before. Amidst the laughter, a fellow patron chimes in, reminding everyone of the harsh realities they faced, while another quips about the fleeting nature of life and the end of bragging rights. Tension rises in the tavern as a patron, irritated by the adventurer's boasting, challenges him with a sharp retort. The adventurer, unfazed, offers a cheeky invitation to test his skills, while another patron nervously tries to defuse the situation, urging them to take it outside. Amidst this, our hero watches with a mix of amusement and concern, aware of the chaos that could ensue. The tension in the tavern escalates as one patron dramatically clutches his arm, claiming injury from a minor touch. Another patron, unimpressed, dismisses his reaction, while a bystander questions the severity of the injury. Amidst the commotion, a witch-like figure humorously advises treating the injured man with care, likening him to a delicate young lady. The witch-like figure, with a playful grin, offers a deal for healing the injured patron, requesting a free dinner in return. The patron, surprised by the swift recovery, looks at his healed arm in disbelief. Meanwhile, another patron expresses concern over the cook's well-being, highlighting his importance despite his fragile appearance. The tavern keeper sternly warns a patron, pointing a finger with resolve, declaring that any further disruptions will lead to a ban. As the day winds down, patrons grudgingly comply, putting chairs back in place, reflecting on the tavern's past. The keeper recalls its history as a rowdy establishment once run by their father. The protagonist reflects on their unexpected arrival in this world and the strong yet terrible cook who took them in. Despite their differences, they managed the tavern together until the cook's sudden passing, leaving a will that entrusted the tavern to the protagonist. Now, standing alone, they ponder the daunting responsibility of taking over, feeling the weight of the task ahead. In the quiet kitchen, the protagonist contemplates the limited and costly ingredients available, lamenting the poor food culture of this world. Despite these challenges, they resolve to be creative, determined to provide good food for the patrons. As they prepare more ingredients, they question their own dedication, yet remain committed to their task. The protagonist gazes up at the ancient, vine-covered structure, feeling a sense of familiarity and comfort. Despite the challenges, they realize their genuine fondness for this world and the life they've carved out. As bustling townsfolk go about their day, our hero finds a renewed sense of purpose amidst the lively market scene. In the bustling city built around the labyrinth, our protagonist stands thoughtfully at the entrance of their establishment. The vibrant energy of free-spirited adventurers fills the air, a reminder of the lively world they are now a part of. As they ponder their next steps, a sense of determination and curiosity stirs within. Two young adventurers, cloaked and wide-eyed, approach hesitantly, seeking confirmation about the establishment that buys labyrinth treasures. Their nervousness is palpable, as they whisper to each other, wondering if they've found the right place. Observing them, a seasoned individual notes their inexperience, while the protagonist, with a welcoming demeanor, inquires about their findings. The young adventurers present their find, stone walnuts, notorious for their inedible bitterness and hard shells. Despite their limited value, the hopeful pair wonder if selling them might afford a loaf or two of bread. Their earnest plea reveals their desperation. As they clutch the walnuts, eyes filled with a mix of hope and uncertainty, the protagonist beams with a welcoming smile, expressing gratitude for the timely arrival of the stone walnuts. The young adventurers, visibly relieved, exchange excited whispers, their faces lighting up with hope. As the protagonist assures them of payment, the pair celebrates their small victory, their earlier anxiety replaced by joy. The young adventurers express their gratitude, overwhelmed by the kindness shown to them. The protagonist offers helpful advice about the city, suggesting a good inn and blacksmith. As the pair bows in appreciation, they are filled with renewed optimism, believing they might truly succeed in this new city. The protagonist reflects on the bustling town filled with adventurers, pondering the charm of their youthful days. With a sigh, they shift focus back to work, curious about the reception of the new salted bread. As they embrace their routine, a familiar voice calls out, grounding them in their vibrant, adventurous daily life. The scene unfolds with a stern figure holding two young adventurers, accused of loitering near the shop. A concerned voice advises against harsh words, noting the fear in the children's eyes. With a reluctant sigh, the imposing figure sets them down, their expressions a mix of relief and apprehension. The two young adventurers, Yugadora and Sephi, nervously introduce themselves, reminding the protagonist of their previous encounter involving stone walnuts. They express an earnest desire to talk, revealing their recent decision to become adventurers. Their determination is palpable, despite the uncertainty in their eyes. Yugadora and Sephi, with anxious expressions, apologize earnestly, explaining they were unaware that stone walnuts were inedible. The protagonist listens, slightly surprised, as the two adventurers recount their mistake. Despite their embarrassment, the protagonist reassures them, dismissing their worry with a kind smile. The tavern owner, with a warm smile, reassures Yugadora and Sephi, insisting that their honesty is rare and appreciated. Despite their protests and offers to repay tenfold, he dismisses their concerns, inviting them to enjoy a meal on the house. The young adventurers, overwhelmed by his generosity, hesitate, unsure if they should accept such kindness. The young adventurers gaze in awe at the sumptuous feast before them, marveling at the softness of the bread. Sephi, astonished, exclaims about the ease of tearing it apart with their hands, a stark contrast to the hard bread of their homeland. Yugadora and the protagonist share a moment of wonder, while the tavern owner explains the difference, noting that countryside bread is made with black wheat. Yugadora eagerly tears into a piece of meat, urging Sephi to try it, while Sephi savors the taste of the soup, exclaiming its deliciousness. The tavern owner, with a friendly demeanor, invites them to order more if they wish, asking if they can read the menu. Confused, Sephi inquires about the concept of a menu, as Yugadora reflects on the warmth of the tavern owner's kindness, a stark contrast to their usual encounters. Sephi admits to struggling with letters but can read numbers. While Yugadora confidently handles the menu, the tavern owner encourages them to visit often, learn from the menu, and grow into fine adventurers. Reflecting on their journey, the protagonist hesitantly questions if they might have rushed into becoming adventurers. The tavern owner, Yoichi-san, reassures them with a warm smile, offering more meat to lift their spirits. Despite his encouragement, the protagonists express their concern about causing trouble and reveal their plan to return home the next day. As the conversation unfolds, a sense of uncertainty lingers, highlighted by a small, contemplative gesture. The tavern owner contemplates the stone walnuts, pondering their purchase with a hint of regret. Meanwhile, the protagonists express their apologies, promising to repay the kindness somehow. As the owner muses over making the walnuts edible, a spark of curiosity ignites, considering it a small adventure worth pursuing. The tavern owner explains the challenge of making stone walnuts edible, revealing his prior study of them. He describes the main issue: a tiny pouch attached to the seed that releases a bitter juice when the shell is cracked. This pouch's unpredictable position makes the task even more frustrating, as it consistently ruins the nut's taste. The tavern owner, deep in thought, considers various methods to crack the stone walnuts without releasing the bitter juice. Despite his determination, he worries about disappointing the young adventurers. Suddenly, a curious observation catches his attention, prompting a thoughtful pause. The tavern owner observes the walnut floating in water, realizing the bitter pouch acts like a float. With newfound insight, he carefully positions the nut, using its buoyancy to pinpoint the pouch's location. Confidently, he cracks the shell, exclaiming triumphantly as he successfully avoids the bitter trap. The tavern owner realizes that simply locating the bitter pouch isn't enough, as cracking the walnut still risks ruining the taste. A thoughtful pause leads to a bright idea, and he decides he needs a syringe. With a plan forming, he prepares to hold the walnut steady and insert the needle into the seam to avoid the pouch. The tavern owner carefully inserts the syringe into the walnut, successfully extracting the bitter pouch's contents. With a confident smile, he observes the now safe-to-eat nut. Savoring the flavor, relieved and satisfied, he declares the taste to be delicious, his innovative approach proving triumphant. The protagonist marvels at the walnut's delightful taste, amazed that such a treasure was hidden within the labyrinth. He confidently declares it moist and not bitter at all, relishing its flavor. With a plan in mind, he notes that roasting walnuts enhances their aroma and longevity, making them light and easy to carry. As the sun rises over the bustling town, the protagonist and his companion stand ready for their journey. The young woman confirms they have everything they need, while the boy nervously calls out to Yugadora and Sephi, catching their attention. The perfect food for adventurers, the walnuts, are packed and ready to fuel their adventure. The protagonist excitedly shares his groundbreaking discovery with his companions, breathlessly announcing that stone walnuts are edible. Their surprise is evident as they congratulate him, trying to grasp the significance of his find. He enthusiastically explains the process, while his friends urge him to calm down, intrigued by his newfound knowledge. The protagonist excitedly presents the roasted stone walnuts, their amber hue captivating his companions. One friend, skeptical about their edibility, questions their rocky reputation, while another marvels at the enticing aroma. With a confident grin, the protagonist reassures them, taking a bite to prove his point, as his companions watch in awe and anticipation. The companions are astounded as they taste the roasted stone walnuts, their expressions lighting up with surprise and delight. One friend exclaims in disbelief, marveling at the transformation of the once inedible nuts. Another savors the aroma, describing how the flavor spreads beautifully in their mouth, while the protagonist beams with satisfaction at their reactions. The protagonist's companions express their excitement, convinced that the roasted stone walnuts will become a popular dish. Reflecting on his past doubts, our hero admits he underestimated the potential of the world's ingredients. Realizing he had been narrow-minded, with renewed enthusiasm, he declares the labyrinth a treasure trove of undiscovered flavors, eager to explore further culinary possibilities. The protagonist graciously offers a small bag of roasted stone walnuts to his companions, insisting they take it for their journey. Despite their protests, he expresses gratitude, attributing his success to their support. His companions, touched by the gesture, gaze at him with wide eyes, realizing the importance of sharing these newfound flavors. The protagonist's companions express their gratitude with bright smiles, acknowledging his generosity. With determination in his eyes, our hero rallies his friends, urging them to venture into the labyrinth once more. Sephi responds with a spirited agreement, her eyes filled with excitement for the journey ahead. As the protagonist stands with his companions, a sense of fulfillment washes over him, likening his emotions to those of a proud father at a graduation. His companions, puzzled by the analogy, question its meaning, while he reflects on his humble beginnings. Despite his growing achievements, he reminds himself of his roots, acknowledging with humility, "I'm just a tavern cook." The protagonist stands beside his companion, acknowledging his limitations with a humble smile. He reflects on his inability to wield magic or swords, accepting that saving the world isn't his destiny. Yet, despite these truths, a quiet resolve lingers in his heart, whispering, "Even so." With a warm smile, the protagonist watches his companions, their laughter and camaraderie filling the air. Despite his humble role, he finds solace in knowing he can provide them with a hearty meal. His heart swells with quiet pride, embracing the simple yet profound way he contributes to their journey. As the sun rises over the quiet town, the protagonist and his companions stride confidently down the cobblestone street, encouraged by the rallying cry, "Go forth, adventurers!" They embark on their journey with renewed determination. The promise of new challenges awaits, as the road stretches endlessly before them. In a bustling tavern, patrons eagerly call out for more servings of the beloved walnuts. The manager, sweating slightly but smiling, assures them to wait just a bit longer. Meanwhile, a customer expresses dissatisfaction with the portion size, prompting a reminder that it's sold by weight, suggesting they order more if needed. The tavern's manager, juggling trays, reflects on the booming sales of the new delicious walnut dish, which has become a hit. Meanwhile, a fellow vendor, desperate for advice, presses the manager for the secret behind removing the walnut's bitterness, hoping to save their struggling business. The manager, caught off guard, insists it's not a significant secret, trying to downplay the method. The tavern is in chaos as customers clamor for the prized walnuts, each demanding attention and service. Our protagonist, overwhelmed by the crowd's demands and the secretive inquiries about his walnut preparation, struggles to keep up, exhausted and frazzled. He realizes the pace is unsustainable, fearing he won't last much longer under the pressure. The protagonist contemplates the idea of selling his walnut processing method, considering the potential profit and the relief from persistent inquiries. Meanwhile, two familiar faces, Yugadora and Sephi, approach with an offer of more stone walnuts, hoping to sell them to the tavern. They assure him they've packed exactly 100 walnuts, asking for a double check to ensure accuracy. Yugadora and Sephi arrive at the bustling tavern, their excitement palpable as they anticipate the day's new dish. The protagonist, overwhelmed by their kindness, is moved to tears, despite the chaos. He encourages them to enjoy their meal, grateful for their understanding and support. The protagonist, intrigued by the idea of discovering new flavors, contemplates the potential of labyrinth ingredients. As he savors a piece of freshly baked walnut bread, a new item on the menu, his curiosity is piqued by the notion of unexplored culinary treasures within the labyrinth. Meanwhile, a determined individual passionately declares their ambition to become a pioneer in labyrinth cuisine, their enthusiasm resonating throughout the tavern. Yugu ponders the practicality of consuming dirt in the labyrinth, prompting a gentle correction from his companion. As they discuss alternative ingredients, the mention of bonefish sparks curiosity. The conversation shifts to the upper labyrinth levels, described as a vast forest where bonefish can be found swimming in springs. The protagonist listens intently as a fellow adventurer recounts the challenge of eating bonefish, noting its toughness. Eager to explore this new ingredient, the protagonist offers to catch the fish, dismissing any need for payment. Instead, they suggest an alternative arrangement, their face lighting up with a confident smile. As the gentle sound of water splashes fills the air, our protagonist confidently reassures their companion about the bonefish catch. With determination in their eyes, they recall the previous success, promising a bountiful return. The serene forest setting adds to the anticipation of their culinary adventure. As the protagonist ventures alone, reassured by the presence of only slimes, their companion watches with a mix of concern and trust. Despite their own unease with slimes, they grip their staff tightly, ready to face whatever comes. The forest rustles ominously, hinting at unseen movement, as the protagonist steps forward with determination. As the shadowy figure swiftly moves through the forest, our protagonist's companion clutches them tightly, exclaiming in alarm. They insist they saw a dragon's tail, leaving our hero in disbelief. Despite the reassurance that no high-level monsters should be present, the tension in the air is undeniable. Startled, the protagonist's companion points out a bonefish, their voice filled with urgency. With determination, they instruct Sephi to prepare the net, while the other responds with a nervous acknowledgement. Amidst the forest's rustling, the anticipation of the catch heightens. After a rejuvenating bath, our protagonist and their companion appear blissfully refreshed, their skin smooth and glowing. They explain to a curious onlooker that they got caught in a downpour and decided to stop by a public bath. The soothing warmth of the water was irresistible, and they ended up soaking for a long time, much to their delight. The protagonist's companion excitedly reveals a large haul of bonefish, their eyes wide with amazement. These tough white fish, commonly used by adventurers for arrowheads, are a prized catch from the upper labyrinth levels. As the companion blushes at the praise for their impressive delivery skills, our hero eagerly anticipates trying out various recipes with the abundant catch. The protagonist examines the bonefish, noting its rough, mackerel-like appearance with determination. They begin scaling the fish, the sound of scraping filling the air. Despite their efforts, the toughness of the fish challenges their knife skills, making the task more difficult than anticipated. The protagonist struggles with the unexpectedly tough bonefish, realizing its name is quite literal. Despite their efforts to create a broth, the fish remains unyielding, only becoming tougher. Undeterred, they consider boiling it in plain water, hoping to soften the stubborn meat. Our hero discovers a surprising layer of fat within the bonefish, sparking newfound hope. Realizing the fish isn't just bone, they eagerly contemplate different cooking methods. With determination reignited, they request another batch, ready to explore the culinary possibilities. Despite trying every conceivable cooking method, from drying to pickling, our hero's efforts to soften the bonefish prove futile. Days pass as they experiment with various techniques. Yet each attempt ends in failure, culminating in a moment of utter defeat. The protagonist kneels, overwhelmed by the stubbornness of the fish, as their culinary journey hits a disheartening low. The protagonist, holding a piece of the elusive bone cracker, reflects on their culinary trials. Despite their efforts, this crunchy creation is the only thing that somewhat succeeded. Yet, disappointment lingers as they yearn for a more fulfilling dish, lamenting the gap between their dreams and reality. The protagonist receives a delivery, revealing a pressure cooker, a new tool in their culinary arsenal. A conversation ensues with a colleague, who expresses a love for fish and shares a friendly invitation from the boss to drink together again. With renewed hope, our hero contemplates the possibilities this new equipment might bring to their ongoing culinary challenge. The protagonist, determined to tackle the bonefish challenge, ponders the rumors spreading about their culinary creation. With a sense of urgency, they consider cranking the pressure cooker to 120 degrees Celsius, hoping for a breakthrough. However, as the fish emerges with a clink, disappointment settles in once more. Another attempt has fallen short. Our hero scrutinizes the results of their latest attempt, noting the tiny bit of fat floating in the water. Frustration mounts as they realize the fish can't be eaten raw, beaten, boiled, or grilled. Pondering the mystery, they observe that simmering released some fat, unlike grilling, and question why it only reacts to hot water. Our hero, determined to solve the mystery, decides to boil the bonefish in plain water while observing the temperature closely. As the water heats up, they notice no reaction until it reaches 50 degrees Celsius, where a bit of fat emerges. Puzzled by the inconsistent reactions at different temperatures, they ponder if temperature holds the key to unlocking the fish's culinary potential. Our hero realizes that the bonefish releases fat only within a specific temperature range, ideal for cooking at low temperatures. With excitement, they discover that maintaining the water between 50 to 70 degrees Celsius creates a flavorful broth, despite its slight bitterness. They believe that with proper preparation, the taste can be greatly improved, though they wonder about the fate of the meat. Our hero takes a bite of the bonefish, surprised by its tenderness. Despite acknowledging that bonefish isn't the finest ingredient, they feel a sense of accomplishment for having perfected its preparation. The satisfaction of creating the best possible dish with such a challenging ingredient fills them with pride. In the quiet ambience of a closed restaurant, two friends marvel at having the place to themselves, feeling a sense of exclusivity. One of them expresses concern about being there before opening hours, but their companion reassures them with a promise of a special tasting. With a confident smile, the chef prepares to unveil his latest culinary creation, eager for them to be the first to experience it. The chef proudly presents the salt-simmered grilled bonefish, its aroma filling the air. One friend hesitantly asks if they can eat it with their hands, while the other marvels at its tender appearance. Encouraged to dig in, they eagerly take a bite, savoring the unexpected delight. The chef eagerly watches as his friends savor the dish, their faces lighting up with delight. One friend exclaims how delicious it is, while the other is overwhelmed by the crispy skin and tender meat. Encouraged to focus on eating, they both continue to enjoy the exquisite flavors. The friends, still savoring the delicious dish, express their commitment to help the chef with the next ingredient. The chef, visibly relieved and grateful, acknowledges their support with a hopeful smile. The camaraderie between them is palpable as they prepare for the next culinary adventure. As a crow caws loudly overhead, the chef enthusiastically reveals his plan to name the dish the Yugu and Sefi fish set and add it to the menu. His friends react with surprise, one expressing hesitation while the other looks puzzled. The scene captures a moment of lighthearted banter as they process the unexpected honor. As footsteps echo softly, a mysterious figure turns, their face obscured by shadow. The question hangs in the air: who is this girl? Nearby, a lantern casts a warm glow on the cobblestone path, hinting at secrets yet to unfold. The anticipation builds for the next culinary challenge. The peach that'll definitely wreck your stomach? A mysterious guest slumps against the tavern wall, murmuring softly in her sleep. The tavern keeper, broom in hand, gazes at her with curiosity, pondering the strange visitor's sudden appearance as he reflects on the saying, "What goes around comes around." The scene hints at an unexpected twist in the day's routine. The mysterious guest devours her meal with intense focus, her eyes wide with delight. The tavern keeper, watching her with a mix of amusement and concern, offers a gentle reminder to eat slowly. The lively crunch of her meal fills the room, adding a sense of urgency to her feast. The tavern keeper reflects on his own past, recalling how he was once taken in by an old man. Now, by a twist of fate, he finds himself caring for a mysterious girl, or perhaps something else entirely, as he observes her tattered appearance and unusual features. He muses on the presence of goblins in the labyrinth, pondering the strangeness of the situation and the possibility of her being a demi-human. The tavern keeper gently probes the mysterious guest, asking about her family. She remains silent, her expression unreadable, as he wonders if she might be an orphan. Despite his curiosity, he decides not to pry further. When he inquires why she was outside his shop, she simply replies, "Because it smelled good," her eyes reflecting a mix of innocence and honesty. The tavern keeper encourages the girl to eat more, acknowledging her attraction to the enticing aroma. Despite his offer for her to stay and heal, she initially refuses. However, when he assures her of a full belly if she remains, she hesitantly agrees to stay. The girl holds up an empty plate, her eyes wide with anticipation as she requests more food. The tavern keeper smiles, acknowledging her appetite and reassures her, "All right, you're all cleaned up." He kindly insists she stay until her bandages can be removed, offering her a safe haven for a little longer. The tavern keeper reassures the girl she can use the bed freely, before realizing he's running late for his prep work. As he busily chops vegetables, he reflects on whether his mentor felt the same way when he took him in. The girl, curious, asks about the old man, prompting the keeper to begin explaining. The girl curiously peeks over the counter, watching the tavern keeper with wide eyes. "What are you doing?" she asks, as he skillfully handles a tool. He explains he's prepping stone walnuts, using a special tool to crack them open, and questions if she knows what prepping means. The tavern keeper explains the importance of cooking prep, emphasizing that it ensures the food tastes good. He demonstrates his technique, using a syringe to remove the bitter part from the stone walnuts before placing them in the nutcracker. The girl watches intently, absorbing every detail of the process with fascination. The tavern keeper, focused on his task, remarks on the challenges of prep work, likening it to a real battle before the tavern even opens. Meanwhile, the girl eagerly cracks open a stone walnut, proudly announcing her success with a cheerful, "Done." Her enthusiasm brings a smile to the keeper's face, who praises her help and expresses his happiness. The tavern keeper warns about the dangers of knives, emphasizing the importance of caution. The girl curiously questions his statement, and he confirms the seriousness with a nod. Outside, a sign sways gently as someone exclaims in surprise about a demi-human. The tavern keeper and a customer exchange curious glances at the girl, noting her horns and tail with surprise. Meanwhile, the girl stands confidently, her presence captivating those around her. Another person offers her candy and pocket money, charmed by her adorable demeanor, while the keeper explains her eagerness to help at the shop. A skeptical patron challenges the tavern keeper, suggesting he's always planning his next gimmick. The keeper, unfazed, confidently reveals his next culinary creation, a dish featuring crab peaches. His enthusiasm is infectious, leaving the onlookers intrigued by this bold new idea. The tavern buzzes with curiosity as a patron skeptically questions the existence of crab peaches. Known for their sweet aroma but unpleasant side effects, the tavern keeper, undeterred, shares his plan to experiment with a prototype dish that night, determined to make the peaches edible. Meanwhile, a customer requests another drink, and the girl eagerly steps up to help, learning the ropes of the bustling establishment. The girl confidently carries a tray with a drink, assuring the tavern keeper she can handle it. As she serves the drink, patrons watch with a mix of curiosity and nervousness. A drunkard, intrigued by her horns, reaches out, prompting a sharp rebuke from a nearby observer. The tavern erupts with chaos as a burly patron forcefully encourages his friend to drink, while another insists on sobriety with a splash of water. Amidst the commotion, the girl stands bewildered, her expression a mix of surprise and annoyance as she dodges an unwanted touch. Nearby, a determined observer clenches his fist, ready to intervene and restore order. With a swift and powerful swing of her tail, the girl sends the troublesome drunkard flying across the tavern, crashing into the wall with a resounding smash. Her expression is fierce and determined, making it clear she won't tolerate any more mischief. The word, "bad," echoes, emphasizing her firm stance against the chaos. The drunkard lies sprawled on the floor, dazed and surrounded by broken glass, as onlookers react with shock and surprise. A concerned bystander checks on him, while others watch the girl walk away with determined steps. Nearby, patrons murmur about her strength and speculate about demi-humans, impressed by her fierce demeanor. The girl stands firm, her finger pointed accusingly as she declares, "Bad." You know, her tail twirls with a hint of lingering energy, emphasizing her warning against dangerous actions. A bystander, sweating nervously, wonders if he's underestimated her, as the silhouette of the drunkard remains embedded in the wall, a testament to her formidable strength. With renewed determination, the young chef decides it's time to focus and introduces the new menu item, crab peaches. He admires the juicy, sweet-smelling fruit in his hand, imagining the possibilities. As he peels the peach, he recalls the various cooking methods he's noted down, confident that one will surely succeed. The young chef savors a taste, contemplating the next step. Low-temperature cooking. Meanwhile, a mysterious door creaks open with an eerie sound, catching the attention of a sleepy figure. Exhausted, the chef apologizes to his companion, while a curious girl rubs her eyes, wondering about the commotion. The young chef instructs his companion to hang the "Closed Today" sign, signaling an unexpected break. Passers-by express surprise at the rare closure, with one curious child holding the sign, puzzled by the unusual day off. Meanwhile, the chef reviews his cooking notes, crossing out previous methods, determined to perfect his culinary creation. The young chef, eyes focused and determined, contemplates his next culinary breakthrough, mumbling about the properties of peaches. His companions express concern, noting the recent closures of his establishment. Despite their worries, He remains absorbed in his thoughts, edging closer to a solution that eludes him. The bustling atmosphere of the restaurant is momentarily interrupted as a young girl confidently calls out an order for 2 bonefish. Meanwhile, Okano-chan efficiently serves water to a grateful customer, maintaining the lively flow. In a quieter moment, a companion acknowledges the chef's dedication, understanding the pride driving his culinary pursuits. In a heartfelt exchange, one character acknowledges the importance of knowing when to retreat, even for adventurers, while another praises their resilience for not giving up. Despite modesty, the protagonist is reminded of their growth through repeated challenges. A companion humorously recounts a recent encounter with a mid-level monster, emphasizing the unpredictable nature of their adventures. Under the gentle glow of the moon, a heartfelt conversation unfolds. A young girl earnestly advises the protagonist to prioritize their well-being, emphasizing the importance of self-care. Reflecting on the wisdom shared, the protagonist acknowledges the truth in her words, feeling a sense of reassurance. The chef admits defeat, deciding to quit working with the troublesome crab peaches to preserve his health and keep the shop running. His companion acknowledges his decision with gratitude, appreciating the importance of self-care. Meanwhile, the young girl playfully showcases her creativity, having crafted a beanbag from a peach seed, bringing a light-hearted moment to the scene. The young girl, concerned yet playful, offers to remove the bandage from the protagonist's healing tale. Her companion, amused by her creativity, chuckles at her idea of using peach seeds for something useful. With a determined expression, she insists on staying until she's fully healed, emphasizing her desire to remain by his side. The chef, with a warm smile, reassures the young girl that he already considers her their exclusive waitress, easing her worries. As they share a moment by the stone wall, he surprises her with an unexpected invitation to live with him. Her eyes widen in the moonlit night, and she softly responds with a simple, heartfelt, "Yeah." The lively atmosphere is palpable as a boisterous adventurer enjoys a hearty mug of the adventurer's brew, savoring its unique taste. Meanwhile, the young girl, with a hint of curiosity, learns about the brew's unusual origin from the bartender, who explains its creation from the skin and seeds of a rotten peach. Despite the unconventional ingredients, the concoction has become a surprisingly popular choice among the patrons. Okano-chan, holding a tray, steps in with concern, asking if there's a fight brewing. The 2 adventurers, caught off guard, quickly assure her that everything is fine, insisting they're all friends. Meanwhile, the bartender muses about experimenting with peach recipes if only the fruit were edible. Okano-chan, with a cheerful demeanor, offers her assistance, asking if anyone needs help. The bartender, with a knowing smile, acknowledges the challenges but remains optimistic. A jar filled with mysterious ingredients sits nearby, a reminder that sometimes it's important to admit defeat, hinting at the ongoing culinary experiments. As the morning sun casts a warm glow, Okano-chan diligently sweeps outside the shop. A visitor arrives, inquiring about Yoichi-san and mentioning a delivery of crab peaches. Okano-chan explains that Yoichi is out, having gone to the hardware store, while another character expresses admiration for her solo cleaning efforts. A new nutcracker is proudly showcased, capable of cracking 4 nuts at once, with a modified handle for ease of use. The shop owner expresses admiration for its design, while a conversation unfolds about the bustling business and the possibility of renovations. Amidst the chatter, there's a mention of the success brought by the unique labyrinth cuisine, hinting at the shop's growing reputation. A character discreetly pours a rare bottle of wine, cautioning the other not to inform his wife. The young man reflects on his past, admitting he had wine occasionally in his previous life. Meanwhile, another character reminisces about enjoying various wines during his adventures away from home. The older man reminisces about his past, attributing his short stature to being stomped by a minotaur, while fondly recalling his fearless younger days. Meanwhile, a young man nervously defends his spending habits, claiming his purchase was a necessary expense. A woman confronts him with a knowing smile, questioning his secretive behavior and expensive tastes. A woman sighs, contemplating putting someone on an allowance due to their spending habits. Another character apologizes to Yoichi-san, noting the tendency to waste money quickly. Meanwhile, an older man is startled as his wine is declared the next labyrinth dish, prompting him to demand a cheap and tasty version with urgency. The young duo stands in surprise, their eyes wide as they listen intently to the declaration of a man-to-man promise. Below, a cluster of water grapes is revealed, prompting one of them to question their use with curiosity. The scene shifts momentarily to the exterior of a quaint building, grounding the moment in its rustic setting. The protagonist holds a cluster of water grapes, explaining their unique qualities. As he drinks, He notes the liquid is essentially flavorless, yet hints at a faint grape taste. Meanwhile, another character warns of the grape's potential danger when heated, revealing their cursed nature. The protagonist realizes that heating the grapes is not an option due to their cursed nature, so he decides to use the sun's power to dry them instead. He explains his plan to create rich, dried grapes, hoping they might be perfect for wine. His companion watches curiously, intrigued by the innovative approach. A few days later, the protagonist inspects the water grapes, now covered in mold. His companion looks on with disbelief, questioning the idea of eating them. Undeterred, he wonders if the mold might be beneficial, akin to blue cheese, sparking a mix of surprise and curiosity. As the protagonist savors a bite, he offers some to Aano, who hesitantly considers the invitation. Meanwhile, another character hands over a glass with the last of the ice, expressing gratitude. Surprised by how quickly the ice was used, the companion comments on its unexpected depletion. The protagonist examines a frosty compartment, noting the unexpected evaporation of water despite its frozen state. His companion, puzzled, questions how evaporation can occur under such conditions. With a calm explanation, he reveals that water can evaporate at any temperature, leaving his companion in thoughtful contemplation. The protagonist hastily informs Aano of his sudden departure, unsure of when he'll return. Meanwhile, a young girl reminds him to brush his teeth before bed, emphasizing the importance of doing so in the morning as well. Outside, under the crescent moon, a determined craftsman contemplates his work, the rhythmic clanking of his hammer echoing in the night. The craftsman bursts into the room, urgently presenting a blueprint for a freeze-drying machine. He passionately explains the concept, highlighting how lower pressure makes water easier to evaporate. Despite the late hour, his determination to create this innovative technology is unwavering. The craftsman, intrigued by the potential of the blueprint, acknowledges the possibility of preventing rot and mold. He envisions using this technology to produce affordable wine. Despite needing a few adjustments, with determination, he confidently declares their intent to bring this idea to life. The craftsman rallies his team with determination, insisting they complete the project by morning. His colleagues gather around the blueprint, ready to tackle the task ahead. Meanwhile, the craftsman meticulously inspects a component, his focus unwavering as the night wears on. As dawn breaks, the craftsman and his team lie exhausted, having worked tirelessly through the night. Outside, birds chirp cheerfully, signaling a new day. Meanwhile, a young girl, unfazed by the commotion, calmly brushes her teeth, preparing for the morning ahead with quiet determination. The craftsman, startled by the young girl's sudden presence, initially mistakes her for a thief. She apologizes for waking him, and with curiosity, she inquires about his latest creation. He explains that if successful, the device will concentrate the water grapes, moving them closer to their goal. The craftsman carefully loads a water magic stone into the device, activating it with precision. As the pump starts up, it creates a vacuum, causing the stone to sparkle. The young girl watches with anticipation as the craftsman reassures her, saying they'll just have to wait a few days to see the results, hoping for a tasty outcome. 20 days have passed, and the craftsman excitedly announces the completion of the water grape wine. Holding out a handful of dried water grapes, he explains how they were sent to a brewery for fermentation. With a sense of accomplishment, he offers the first bottle to his companion, eager to share the fruits of their labor. The craftsman eagerly awaits feedback as he serves the water grape wine, accompanied by stone walnuts and freeze-dried water grapes. Taking a sip, he savors the rich, sweet grape flavor followed by a subtle bitterness. With a satisfied grin, he declares it delicious, clearly proud of their creation. The craftsman and his companion share a moment of satisfaction, discussing the wine's impressive taste. The craftsman notes that aging it would enhance the flavor even more, while his companion appreciates the freeze-dried water grapes as a tasty snack. With enthusiasm, the craftsman expresses his eagerness to explore more culinary creations, feeling empowered by his companion's invaluable assistance. The craftsman, feeling confident with Dog's help, dismisses the need for other blacksmiths. As they sit together, his companion jokingly warns him not to barge in at midnight again, to which he sheepishly agrees. Amidst their banter, the companion casually requests knife sharpening and new kitchen gear, prompting a playful grumble from the craftsman about more work. The craftsman confidently assures his companion that he'll craft whatever is needed, while savoring a sip of the exquisite wine. As they sit together in the cozy workshop, his companion praises the wine's quality, enjoying the moment of camaraderie and accomplishment. The protagonist proudly explains the expansion of their establishment, having bought a neighboring warehouse and added a second floor to accommodate more customers. A friend expresses amazement at their success, While the protagonist humbly credits their companions for the achievement, despite sharing processing methods, the exclusivity of their dungeon liquor and wine continues to draw patrons, and construction costs were cleverly managed by selling unique recipes. The protagonist's young friend proudly announces they've finished cracking walnuts, impressing everyone with their speed. Another friend admires a cute pouch, which the young helper reveals was a thoughtful gift from Yoichi, spotted at the market. The group shares a warm moment, appreciating the small gestures and teamwork that bind them together. The young friend proudly shows off a new hairpin, explaining it was a spontaneous find. Another friend notices and inquires about it, leading to a playful exchange about the other gifts received, including a hat, clothes, and shoes. The group admires how everything suits Aano perfectly, sharing a light-hearted moment filled with compliments and laughter. The protagonist is caught off guard by a teasing remark about their father, leading to a flustered reaction. A friend playfully insists that the resemblance between them is undeniable, much to the protagonist's embarrassment. Meanwhile, Aano is tasked with lighting the signboard, while another friend chuckles at the protagonist's bashfulness. In the bustling warmth of the eatery, the chatter of patrons fills the air as orders are taken. Aano, focused and diligent, narrowly avoids a mishap, feeling the pressure of his responsibilities. Meanwhile, a colleague reflects on Aano's strengths and contributions, acknowledging him as a vital part of the team, even if Aano himself feels like just another face in the crowd. The staff gathers around for their meal, featuring the intriguingly named boned fish tanandon. One member eagerly anticipates the taste, while another ponders the unusual combination of fish and bird eggs, dubbing it a stranger bowl. Amidst the light-hearted banter, someone humorously notes the dish's cruel name, sparking laughter and curiosity. In a moment of cultural exchange, Aano explains the significance of saying "itadakamasu" before a meal, emphasizing gratitude for the food. However, as he mentions the concept of a homeland, he suddenly realizes the potential insensitivity of his words. Recalling that his companion is an orphan, his internal panic is palpable as he worries about having unintentionally hurt her feelings. As the conversation turns to thoughts of hometowns, Aano reflects on his inability to return to his own, finding solace in his current surroundings. Meanwhile, his companion quietly contemplates the word hometown, her expression unreadable. Suddenly, she collapses to the floor, leaving Aano and the others in shock and concern. Aano stands by his companion's bedside, bewildered as the doctor diagnoses her with malnutrition. Confused, he recalls how she was just about to eat a full meal earlier, insisting she has been eating regularly. The doctor reassures him, explaining that her symptoms are likely due to anemia, and she should recover swiftly with proper nutrition and rest. The doctor reassures Aano, confirming that there's no curse involved, just a need for proper nutrition and rest. Despite his inability to find another cause, he remains confident in his diagnosis. As night falls, Aano stands by her bedside, offering a quiet word of care before stepping outside under the starry sky. The group discusses Aano-chan's worsening condition, puzzled by the doctor's diagnosis of malnutrition despite her regular meals. One character recalls her recent meals, including porridge and fish, while another worries they may have pushed her too hard. Amidst the concern, they cling to hope that proper eating will lead to her recovery. Aano gently asks if she's hungry, offering peach juice, but she declines. Suddenly, she grips his arm, hesitating before revealing her unusual craving. With a determined look, she whispers her desire to eat monster meat, leaving him stunned. Aano listens in surprise as she dismisses the idea of pork or chicken, insisting that only monster meat will suffice. She reveals her past habit of consuming it in the labyrinth, leaving him bewildered. Her vivid description of chomping down on live monsters is met with astonishment, as he can only remark on the wildness of her past. Aano, determined to help, resolves to make the ultimate monster meat dish. He reassures her, patting her head gently and encouraging her to rest while he gets to work. His commitment to her recovery shines through, despite the unusual request. Aano urgently instructs Yugudra and Sephi to catch a monster, emphasizing the need for something easy to cook. He explains that it's crucial for Aano's recovery, pleading with them to understand. Meanwhile, they express confusion about the sudden need for labyrinth cuisine, while one of them questions the feasibility, knowing that monster meat vanishes upon death. Aano stands determined, explaining the nature of mist meat to his companions. He clarifies that while typical monsters from the labyrinth can't be used for cooking, creatures like the bonefish are an exception. His companions listen intently, realizing the challenge as he notes how monster meat begins to rot immediately upon death. The protagonist steels himself, determined to manage the daunting task ahead for Aano's sake. He ponders the challenge of cooking mist meat, knowing it vanishes upon death, and resolves to devise a new method. Meanwhile, His companions agree to capture the creature alive, ready to support his plan. Aano gazes out the window, her mind swirling with thoughts about the labyrinth and the daunting task ahead. The protagonist's frustration echoes in the room as he questions the possibility of cooking mist meat. As the night deepens, anticipation lingers in the air, setting the stage for their next challenge. The adventurers stand ready, their eyes fixed on a massive rabbit-like creature with a determined stare. Our hero grips his knife, sweat trickling down his face as he prepares for the encounter. In a swift motion, he calls out to Sephi, signaling the start of their coordinated attack. The massive rabbit-like creature lunges forward with a menacing speed, its eyes locked on the adventurers. Aano quickly reacts, urging her companions to dodge as the creature swoops past them. Our hero, with a determined shout, counters the beast's attack, his blades slicing through the air with precision. The protagonist apologizes for accidentally killing the creature in the heat of the moment, determined to succeed. They discuss setting the trap again to capture more before sunset. Meanwhile, the poster girl remains bedridden, motivating their efforts for Aano-chan's sake. Aano-chan lies in bed, her face flushed and breathing labored. A concerned companion clasps her hand gently, worry etched on his face. Outside, a voice impatiently calls for Yoichi, frustrated that the food isn't ready yet. In the bustling tavern, Yoichi struggles to meet the demands of impatient patrons, juggling requests for wine and water. A fellow worker offers to help, noting that Aano-chan, who is usually a comforting presence, is missed due to her illness. Amidst the chaos, Yoichi apologizes for the tavern's rough atmosphere, feeling the absence of Aano-chan's calming influence. Concern fills the air as they discuss Aano-chan's condition, noting it's been 5 days since she collapsed. Her usual vitality seems drained, with her horns and tail losing their shine, and regular food no longer nourishing her. Amidst the concern, a glimmer of hope emerges as someone mentions a secret plan by Yujidora and the others, promising to help with the tavern duties in the meantime. Yoichi, with a look of surprise, exclaims at the arrival of Yugu and Sephi, eager to hear about their progress. Amidst the clamor, patrons demand their drinks, urging Yoichi to hurry. Meanwhile, a pair of rabbits lie ready, hinting at the ingredients needed for the secret plan. Yoichi, holding a wiggling rabbit, reflects on the challenge of capturing the elusive creatures. Noting it's been a while since he last encountered them, he recalls the danger they pose, showing a scar as proof of their formidable nature. Despite the rabbits' frantic movements, Yoichi resolves to cook them without hesitation, acknowledging their role in the secret plan. Yoichi explains the challenge of preparing monster meat, noting that they rot and disappear when they die. He suggests a solution: butchering them alive, similar to preparing live sea bream, using a technique called nerve stunning to paralyze without killing. With confidence, he mentions they've practiced on regular rabbits and now need to test it on monsters. Yoichi urgently stabs the wiggling rabbit, racing against time to paralyze it, shocked as the creature unexpectedly dies. He wonders if the nerve location differs from regular rabbits. Determined, he vows to dissect it swiftly before it rots, eager to uncover the correct nerve spot for future attempts. Yoichi stands beside a curious companion, explaining the detailed dissection diagrams spread out before them. The companion, intrigued by the illustrations, asks about their purpose. Yoichi reassures them, expressing optimism about pinpointing the nerve location, seeing a light at the end of the tunnel despite the challenges. A gentle smile graces the girl's face as she acknowledges Aano-chan's popularity. Her companion reflects on the warmth of family, feeling a pang of nostalgia. The conversation shifts to playful teasing about close friendships, sparking a spirited defense against any misunderstandings. The girl earnestly asks the protagonist to help Aano-chan recover, emphasizing how everyone is eagerly awaiting her return. Her companion, filled with determination, responds affirmatively, acknowledging the importance of the task. Meanwhile, the protagonist reflects on the repetitive and meticulous nature of their work, feeling like a doctor as they strive to find the solution before it's too late. The creature lies still, signaling the success of the nerve-stunning technique. The protagonist and their companion discuss the urgency of their task, knowing they have only an hour before the creature begins to rot. With determination, they prepare to butcher and cook it, acknowledging the uncertainty but ready to act swiftly. The protagonist expertly prepares the flying rabbit, dividing it into 4 key parts: shoulder, rib, thigh, and tenderloin. Each cut is destined for a specific dish: shoulder for hearty stews, rib for savory steaks, thigh for long-lasting jerky, and tenderloin for a crispy fried delight. With precision and care, they ensure every piece is utilized, even grinding the leftovers for additional culinary creations. The protagonist, filled with enthusiasm, exclaims about the fun they're having as they wield a tool with confidence. Meanwhile, A gentle knock on the door signals the arrival of a visitor, who announces their entry to Aano. As the door opens, a gust of air sweeps through, catching Aano by surprise. The table is adorned with a feast of flying rabbit dishes. Savory meat pies, succulent rib roast steaks, tenderloin katsu, and a stew simmered in water grape wine. Each dish is a testament to the protagonist's culinary skill. Below, a young girl gazes in awe, her eyes wide with wonder at the delectable spread before her. The protagonist proudly announces the creation of a monster meat platter. While a curious young girl looks on in amazement, a detailed explanation follows about the unique method of butchering flying rabbits, ensuring the meat remains fresh and free from decay. Gratitude is expressed to Yugu and Sephi for their skillful capture. As the girl claps in admiration, her excitement palpable. The young girl, eyes closed and hands clasped, whispers "Itadikamasu" with gratitude. Our protagonist, spoon in hand, encourages her to dig in before the meal cools. A warm smile spreads across his face, reflecting his joy in sharing the feast. The young girl takes a hearty bite of the meat, her eyes widening in delight. Our protagonist explains the unique flavor, noting its fruity, nutty taste. Likely due to the flying rabbit's diet of stone walnuts and wild peaches, she exclaims, "Delicious!" In agreement, her enthusiasm mirrored by the chef's proud smile. The young girl eagerly devours the meal, her cheeks full as she savors each bite with a satisfied, nom nom. Her eyes widen with each chomp, clearly relishing the unique flavors. As she leans back, a contented expression spreads across her face, surrounded by a dreamy, sparkling aura of satisfaction. Our protagonist reassures the young girl, emphasizing that as long as the meal is delicious, everything is perfect. The empty plate clanks as it's set down, a testament to her hearty appetite. He encourages her to eat well and rest, ensuring she regains her full strength, while she declines seconds with a contented smile. The young girl apologizes for her absence, concerned about the tavern's operations. Our protagonist reassures her with a smile, explaining that no replacement could be found and the patrons eagerly await her return. He humorously adds that the customers need to appreciate his cooking more, while she listens with a soft smile, understanding the situation. The young girl gazes intently, her eyes filled with determination as she grips his sleeve. Our protagonist, momentarily flustered, remembers he forgot the peach juice and promises to fetch it immediately. She interrupts, her voice steady, expressing that there's something important she needs to share with him. The protagonist, concerned, checks her forehead for a fever, asking if she's still in pain. She reassures him with a firm no. Explaining that it's not about her health, her expression turns thoughtful as she prepares to reveal what's truly on her mind. The young girl, with heartfelt sincerity, expresses her gratitude, saying, "Thank you, Dad." Her words carry the weight of her emotions, leaving a sense of warmth and connection lingering in the air. A simple bow rests nearby, symbolizing the gentle yet profound moment shared between them. As the sun begins to set, our hero stands amidst the trees, contemplating his next move. With a sigh of relief, he decides it's time to head back and take a well-deserved break. The familiar door of their usual meeting spot awaits, promising comfort and camaraderie. Inside the cozy meeting spot, our hero admires a newly crafted sword, forged from a minotaur's axe blade. The blacksmith proudly explains its exceptional sharpness, capable of cutting through metal. Meanwhile, a lively conversation unfolds at the counter, with friends discussing the peculiarities of their recent adventure. Our hero reflects on their recent achievements, recalling how they and their companion, Yugadora, conquered the upper-layer gatekeeper and ventured into the labyrinth's mid-layer. Despite their progress, they acknowledge the mysteries that still shroud the labyrinth. As they discuss, a memory surfaces of a dragon carving on the gate, identical to one seen at the entrance, hinting at deeper secrets yet to be uncovered. Amidst the bustling tavern, a loud clatter draws attention as Aano reassures everyone that she's fine. The conversation shifts, marveling at the rarity of such a young, small party reaching the mid-layer of the labyrinth. A friend excitedly mentions someone who ventured alone to the late mid-layer, sparking intrigue about the labyrinth's deeper challenges. In the lively tavern, a dreamy-eyed patron gushes about a legendary swordsman, whose swift blade has saved countless adventurers. Meanwhile, another customer grows frustrated, trying to get the attention of the busy staff, exclaiming about the absence of a new menu item. Amidst the chatter, the air buzzes with tales of heroism and the mundane struggles of everyday life. In the bustling tavern, a passionate customer demands more milk-based dishes. Envisioning possibilities like cheese and butter, the staff, caught off guard, explains the high cost and quantity needed, while another patron acknowledges the point. The conversation ends with the staff considering the suggestion as just one opinion, leaving the air thick with culinary debate. In the bustling tavern, a young swordsman sits with a calm demeanor, unaware of the attention he's attracting. Nearby, two patrons excitedly identify him as Acarnania of the Netherworld Sword, the legendary lone wolf magic swordsman. Skeptical, another customer dismisses the notion, believing the figure to be just a regular drunkard. Amidst a flurry of emotions, the protagonist, Yoichi, is confronted with a misunderstanding that leaves them flustered. Their companion, shocked by the revelation, struggles to justify the mix-up, citing Yoishi's hairstyle and behavior. As the tension rises, onlookers react with a mix of amusement and disbelief, some accusing Yoichi of making a girl cry, while others dismiss it as typical swordsman behavior. Yoichi is taken aback, realizing their mistake about the woman's identity. While their companion expresses surprise and disappointment, the bartender, sweating nervously, offers an apology, promising to prepare milk next time. Intrigued by the suggestion of using labyrinth ingredients, Yoichi shows interest, sparking a new conversation. Yoichi suggests using milky sap for the concoction, explaining its origin from trees in the labyrinth's mid-layer. The sap, known for its detoxifying properties, is often used in medicine despite its bitter taste. Intrigued, the onlookers nod, acknowledging Yoishi's knowledge about the sap's potential as an antidote. Yoichi listens to the bartender's explanation about the leftover liquid from the medicine, noting its similarity to milk despite its unpleasant taste. Curious onlookers question the logic behind drinking something so unappealing. While others express their hunger, eagerly anticipating a meal, the bartender concludes with a simple plan, turning the milky sap into something more palatable. Yoichi confidently assures the group, taking on the task of acquiring the milky sap. Meanwhile, another character mentions the need to buy additional supplies. With determination, Yoichi plans the next steps, deciding to head to the apothecary for more information. Yoichi examines the process of transforming raw milky sap into a commercial antidote, noting how mixing ash causes coagulation, separating the medicinal components from the bitterness. Acarnania has already procured some milky sap, prompting Yoichi to plan a series of experiments. Despite the residue losing its bitterness, it also sacrifices umami, resulting in a thin taste. Yoichi and his companion examine the milky sap, noting its milk-like appearance but struggling with its bitter taste. Despite the bitterness, Yoichi detects a rich, underlying flavor, prompting him to add ash as suggested by the apothecary. His companion grimaces at the taste, reinforcing the need for improvement. Yoichi carefully strains the milky sap through cloth, observing the white clumps sinking to the bottom. With excitement, he notes the successful separation of the residue and medicinal components. His companion suggests boiling it down to enhance the flavor, as the current taste resembles watered-down milk, just as Acarnania had mentioned. After boiling the mixture for hours, Ukano feels a sense of accomplishment. However, during the taste test, he and his companion realize that although the flavor is richer, it still lacks taste. They deduce that the umami is being lost with the residue, making the effort seem futile, as the yield is minimal and not cost-effective compared to simply buying milk. As Yoichi contemplates the challenge of separating the bitter medicinal part while preserving the umami, he considers alkaline substances like ash. Deciding to explore further, he announces his plan to head out shopping, leaving his companion to hold down the fort. The bustling morning market awaits, filled with potential solutions to his culinary conundrum. Yoichi navigates the bustling morning market, noting the crowd's density, which is more than usual. Vendors enthusiastically pitch their goods, from stone walnut bread to magic pillows. Reflecting on his contribution, he realizes that ever since selling the labyrinth ingredient processing method, the city's culinary scene has flourished, drawing in tourists and boosting the local economy. Yoichi considers the properties of soap. Realizing its alkaline nature might be useful, he decides to purchase 2 bars from a vendor who eagerly promotes their gentle qualities. As he inquires about seawater, a passerby informs him of its high cost due to the distant ocean, prompting Yoichi to contemplate using brine instead. Yoichi is startled by a familiar voice calling out to him in the bustling market. He turns to see a friend, who asks about his presence there. Yoichi casually responds that he's shopping for supplies, while his friend admits to just wandering around. Yoishi's friend decides to join him on his shopping trip, suggesting they tag along. Curious, Yoichi asks why, prompting his friend to explain that they want to help carry his supplies. Playfully noting Yoishi's lack of strength, the bustling market continues around them as they chat. Yoichi hesitantly agrees to his friend's offer, admitting he might need help after all. As they walk through the lively market, Yoichi ponders his own strength, questioning if he's truly as weak as implied. Meanwhile, a mysterious feeling stirs within his friend, leaving them both to wonder about the unexpected connection. In a quiet room, A young boy stands by the window, absorbing the news delivered by his father. The maid cradles a newborn, while the father announces, "You're going to have a little brother." The boy, with a mix of emotions, responds, "Yes, father," understanding the weight of this new responsibility. In a bustling market, a young man decides to purchase seaweed powder, thanking the vendor for his business. Meanwhile, a girl beside him, eyes wide with realization, wonders if this outing could be considered a date. Her curiosity piqued, she eagerly asks about another item, captivated by its enticing aroma. The young man excitedly announces the discovery of stone walnut bread, suggesting they share it. As they enjoy the treat, he muses about the experience feeling like a date, while his companion critiques the bread's quality. Suddenly, the young man spots something intriguing, eagerly pointing it out to his friend. The young man, brimming with enthusiasm, points out a stylish garment, convinced it would look great on Aano. His companion, caught up in the excitement, suggests another option, holding up an elegant piece of jewelry for consideration. The vendor, pleased with their interest, silently celebrates their engagement with the wares. The young man enthusiastically suggests a garment, likening it to something Akarunin would wear, sparking surprise in his companion. Flustered, she insists the style doesn't suit her, feeling it's too girly. He counters with a playful remark, reminding her she's a girl, leaving her speechless. The protagonist reflects on their past, revealing they were raised as a boy due to the lack of an heir in the family. After their brother's birth, they were cast out and became an adventurer, finding solace in the sword skills they acquired, grateful for the journey. They acknowledge meeting Yoichi and discovering the tavern as a silver lining amidst their hardships. A sudden commotion erupts as the cart's wheel loosens, threatening to topple its heavy load of crates. The young man, caught off guard, can only manage a startled "whoa." As danger looms, in a swift, decisive motion, our hero draws their sword, ready to intervene with practiced precision. With a powerful swing, our hero's sword slices through the air, expertly shattering the falling crates before they can cause harm. The young man watches in awe as the wooden debris scatters harmlessly around him. The crowd stands frozen, witnessing the swift and precise intervention. With a stern gaze, our hero points their sword at the trembling man, emphasizing the gravity of his carelessness. "Because of your negligence, someone almost died," they declare, their voice firm, resolute. They warn, "I'll overlook it this time, but if it happens again, you'll pay for it." The young man, shaken and apologetic, quickly scurries away after being sternly admonished. Observers murmur in awe, recognizing the prowess of the magic swordswoman who effortlessly scattered the cargo. Meanwhile, our hero sheathes their sword with a contemplative expression, pondering the name Akaruniniania, as someone checks on the young man named Yoichi. The young man expresses his gratitude, acknowledging how he was saved from a dire situation, despite feeling embarrassed about always needing protection. He admits his admiration for the magic swordswoman's strength. She reassures him, recalling a time when he was the one who protected her, bringing a moment of camaraderie between them. Our hero reminisces about their early days as an apprentice, recalling the time they accidentally broke a plate at the shop. The memory unfolds with the young Yoichi, nervously apologizing to his grandfather for the mishap, despite the stern reprimand from the elder. The scene is filled with a sense of nostalgia and growth, as both characters reflect on past mistakes and lessons learned. Yoichi looks puzzled as he tries to recall a past event, while his companion insists it happened. With a blush, Yoichi admits that since then, he's felt comfortable showing his vulnerable side. Gathering courage, he finally confesses his feelings, declaring, "That I realized I liked you." Yoishi's companion beams with delight, mistaking the confession for admiration of his shop. Encouraged, he vows to improve the menu, feeling invigorated by the praise. Meanwhile, Yoichi blushes, realizing the misunderstanding, as the bustling street scene adds a touch of humor to the moment. The protagonist examines a collection of materials, pondering their purpose. He explains that he prepared alkaline substances, like ash, to separate bitterness from milky sap. With newfound enthusiasm, he suggests they start by making soap, while his companion reacts with excitement. Yoishi's companion grimaces as she tastes the concoction, declaring it resembles laundry detergent. Despite the setback, Yoichi remains determined, trying salt water next, only to face another failure. Undeterred, he procures ammonia from an alchemist, hoping its properties will finally yield success, while his companion reacts to the pungent aroma. Amidst the overpowering stench of ammonia, Yoishi's companion recoils, expressing her distaste. Yoichi, unfazed by the setback, decides to abandon the current attempt and turns his attention to the seaweed. hoping for better results. As he carefully pours the mixture, he notices the liquid turning milky white, sparking a glimmer of hope that this might finally be the breakthrough they need. As the cows graze peacefully in the background, Yoichi and his companion eagerly sip from their mugs, savoring the flavor. Yoichi exclaims with delight, realizing the taste is akin to rich, creamy milk, while his companion shares in the excitement, finding it delicious. With newfound confidence, Yoichi envisions creating the ultimate milk dish, convinced that warming it would enhance the flavor even more. Yoichi follows the steps meticulously, shaking the jar with determination. After chilling and shaking repeatedly, he finally strains the mixture through a cloth, revealing a lump of butter. Exhausted but triumphant, Yoichi pants heavily, while his companion checks on him with concern. Yoichi vigorously whisks the mixture, lamenting the lack of an automatic whisker. Meanwhile, the milk simmers on the stove, sterilizing to perfection. With determination, he combines the ingredients, triumphantly declaring the white sauce complete, as his companion watches with anticipation. Yoichi, feeling the strain in his arm, reassures his concerned companion that he's almost done. Acknowledging the effort required for sauce making, he sighs, reflecting on the challenge. While his determination remains unwavering, outside, a figure waits with anticipation, reminding Yoichi of the purpose behind his culinary endeavors. As the door swings open, a familiar face greets Yoichi with surprise. Noting his early arrival, Yoichi, slightly flustered, explains he was just passing by, while his companion warmly invites him in despite the early hour. Inside, another figure acknowledges the perfect timing, eager to share in the freshly cooked success. A sumptuous spread of dishes crafted from the milky sap is presented, featuring a creamy white stew, golden toast, and hot milk. Yoichi proudly declares the meal a fulfillment of the request, while his companion, astonished, realizes the entire feast originates from the milky sap. Encouraged to start with the stew, Yoichi humorously notes the effort it took, as the rich, creamy texture tempts the taste buds. Yoichi takes a hearty bite of the toast, savoring its crispy texture and generous butter. With a satisfied expression, he exclaims how delicious it is, while his companion looks on with a smile. As he gulps down the hot milk, Yoichi praises the perfect touch of sweetness added to the drink. Yoichi, feeling a bit bashful, admits he didn't mean like in that way, but acknowledges the sentiment, overwhelmed by the gesture. His eyes well up with tears as he confesses how much he truly enjoys the tavern. His companion, noticing the emotion, gently teases him about crying, touched by the heartfelt moment. As the door creaks open, a young girl peeks inside, holding an open sign. She glances back, signaling for quiet, while two patrons enter the tavern, surprised by the early arrival. One of them suggests giving the previous guests a moment, hinting at the heartfelt scene that just unfolded. Three curious faces peek through the doorway, observing the scene with intrigue. Inside, Yoichi, flustered, tries to console the tearful girl, who seems to be crying tears of joy. The onlookers whisper among themselves, noting the unusual nature of the tears, as the heartfelt moment continues. A gentle voice calls out to Sephi, suggesting a break from their journey. The serene landscape stretches out under a clear sky as Sephi eagerly agrees, her enthusiasm evident. Nearby, a basket filled with ripe apples is set down with a soft thump, promising a refreshing pause. Sephi jolts awake with a gasp, eyes wide with surprise. The morning light filters through the window as birds chirp cheerfully outside, contrasting with her startled expression. Nearby, the gentle rustling of sheets accompanies the sound of a story being animatedly recounted, filling the room with a sense of lively warmth. As the story unfolds, a young boy animatedly describes a terrifying scorpion encounter, emphasizing its massive claws. Meanwhile, Sephi listens with a distant expression, her thoughts seemingly elsewhere. She lets out a deep sigh, holding her mug, while the boy eagerly seeks her confirmation of the tale. The young boy excitedly urges Sephi to recount their epic scorpion battle, but she seems distracted, responding with a vague apology. Nearby, two onlookers whisper about her unusual demeanor, speculating if it's lovesickness, while another dismisses the idea with a flustered denial. Sephi's uncharacteristic sluggishness raises concern among her friends. The conversation shifts as someone suggests that Sephi's unusual behavior is due to homesickness. Memories unfold of Sephi's past, detailing how she left after her brother married and had a child. Despite getting along with her brother and his wife, she felt uncomfortable, and a recent letter from her sister-in-law seems to have stirred these feelings anew. Sephi insists she's fine, asserting her independence, while a friend suggests taking her back to their hometown for a visit. Another friend offers to help with a letter, but Sephi deflects, saying maybe next time. Meanwhile, a conversation about adventurer's ale continues, with Sephi admitting her family isn't close, hinting she's putting on a brave face. Ukano-chan, concerned for her friend, asks if Sephi's stomach is hurting. Noting she doesn't look well, Sephi brushes off the concern, attributing her demeanor to a wave of nostalgia. As they talk, Ukano-chan reflects on the comfort of her father's cooking, prompting Sephi to ponder her own feelings of longing. As the conversation shifts to food, Sephi's friends express a longing for tanandon, a dish that evokes fond memories. Sephi reflects on the bittersweet nature of nostalgia, admitting that it's a serious feeling when cherished memories are all that remain. Her friend's lighthearted comment is met with a sigh, as Sephi agrees, the weight of her emotions evident in her expression. A young man reminisces about the longing he felt for white rice and miso soup when he first arrived. Understanding the ache of missing home, he acknowledges that while he can never taste his hometown's food again, Sephi still has the chance. Later, he eagerly offers to help Sephi by recreating a taste of home, determined to bring her some comfort. The young man reflects on the staple foods of their world, noting how they don't quite evoke a taste of home. He recalls a local fruit from their village, a delicious treat they often enjoyed. As the conversation unfolds, it's revealed that Sephi's family runs an orchard, allowing her to indulge in this rare fruit, unlike most villagers who give it up as tax. The young man consults a book, confirming the fruit Sephi mentioned is indeed a local specialty from their hometown. He notes its resemblance to a pear, but is surprised to find the harvest season is half a year away. Observing Sephi's weary demeanor, he resolves to check with his supplier, despite the odds, determined to bring her a taste of home sooner. The young man inquires about a specific fruit at a bustling market stall, only to be told they don't carry it. The vendor suggests an alternative, sunfruit, which is available year-round but is dismissed as too sour. Intrigued by the mention of moonfruit, the protagonist admits he's never heard of it, pondering if it might be a suitable substitute. The vendor explains that moonfruit is a rare delicacy found in labyrinths, sweet and enticing. However, it's a tricky fruit. When freshly picked, it's rock-hard and inedible. To ripen properly, it must be left in the shade for a long time. But once the full moon hits, it unexpectedly rots, sprouts, and transforms back into a tree. The protagonist acknowledges the challenge of obtaining moonfruit. Realizing it hinges on luck, with a pat on the shoulder, he decides to put in a request for the elusive fruit. On his way back, he serendipitously encounters Akuranai, who enthusiastically agrees to help collect the moonfruit, exclaiming with joy. The protagonist examines the moonfruit, noting its beauty but realizing it's as hard as an unripe persimmon. Akuranai, intrigued by its appearance, eagerly considers taking a bite. However, the protagonist hesitates, understanding the fruit's unpredictable nature and deciding against it. The protagonist suggests chilling the moonfruit to enhance its sweetness, but finds it still tastes unripe and green. Akuranai, unimpressed, notes that neither chilling nor cooking improves its flavor. Despite this, our hero discovers that adding it to a salad gives it a satisfying crunch, though it lacks the nostalgic taste of Sephi's hometown. The protagonist contemplates seeking more information about the mysterious moonfruit. Meanwhile, a young girl spots something intriguing and calls her father's attention to it. Inside a nearby shop, two familiar figures, Yugu and Sephi, are spotted, sparking curiosity. Inside the shop, Yugu holds up a stuffed toy, trying to cheer up Sephi, who looks on with a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. Observing this from outside, the protagonist questions whether a stuffed toy is the right choice for Sephi's age. While the young girl beside him expresses confusion about the toy's appearance, the protagonist ponders why Yugu chose a gorilla-looking doll, thinking he could have picked something cuter. The protagonist muses over the nature of gorillas, realizing the young girl might not know what they are either. He shifts his thoughts to bananas, recalling how they're harvested green and ripened during transport. He explains that plants release hormones that facilitate this ripening process, contemplating the science behind it. The protagonist reflects on how apples release hormones that can speed up the ripening of nearby fruits, considering their potential to hasten the moonfruit's ripening. Meanwhile, a woman eagerly decides to purchase some items, her enthusiasm contrasting with the sluggish demeanor of her companion. As they prepare to leave, the protagonist muses about a fruit resembling an apple, known as sunfruit, sparking curiosity and urgency. The protagonist considers the sunfruit, a small and sour apple-like fruit used primarily for vinegar. He reflects on the 4 days since acquiring the moonfruit and the 3 days spent storing them together in a wooden crate. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, drawing his attention with an exclamation of surprise. The protagonist eagerly suggests peeling and tasting the fruit, captivated by its enticing aroma. As they savor the fruit, they find it crisp, juicy, and surprisingly sweet. even without the expected weight. The protagonist considers chilling the fruit for an even sweeter taste, but a companion suggests serving it as is, especially for Sephi. The protagonist acknowledges their companion's insight, realizing that serving the fruit at room temperature might evoke memories of Sephi's hometown. As they share a light-hearted moment, the protagonist reflects on their deeper intention: to let Sephi experience the flavors that resonate with her past. The serene night sky and the cozy house add a sense of warmth and nostalgia to their mission. As the night air grows chilly, Sephi is reminded to close the window, responding with a cheerful, "Okay." Inside, the cozy atmosphere is filled with warmth and laughter. A family moment unfolds as a child is lovingly offered a taste of the fruit, while another companion playfully offers some to the protagonist, knowing their fondness for it. In the cozy kitchen, a child sits quietly, enjoying a meal, while a gentle voice praises his calm demeanor. Suddenly, a knock at the door interrupts the peaceful scene, prompting Sephi to rise and investigate. As she opens the door, she is greeted by Yugu, who stands outside with an urgent expression. Yugu stands at the door, his expression serious as he asks Sephi about her intentions. Sephi is taken aback by his outfit, realizing he's earnest about adventuring. Yugu expresses his desire to travel with her, while Sephi invites him inside to discuss further. Sephi snaps back to reality as a concerned voice asks if she's okay. Admitting she's been a bit out of it lately, Yugu stands by, ready to embark on their adventure, while a welcoming figure in the kitchen greets them warmly. With a hint of excitement, he mentions there's something special he wants them to try today. Sephi gazes at the shimmering fruit on the table, her eyes widening in curiosity. Wait, could this be? She wonders aloud, only to be told it's not from her hometown. The figure in the kitchen reassures her, explaining it's called moon fruit, hoping it might evoke memories of home. Sephi holds the moon fruit delicately, her eyes welling up with emotion as memories flood back. She recalls the familiar, cherished taste from her childhood, shared around a table with her family. With a heartfelt smile, she declares the fruit wonderful, her voice filled with nostalgia. Sephi reflects on the lingering memories of her past, realizing why the moon fruit holds such significance. Yugu admits he never had the chance to enjoy such treats, having left home in haste. The welcoming figure suggests that perhaps this flavor could become a new memory for Yugu, who eagerly agrees, savoring the sweetness. Sephi warmly invites him to visit her home someday, promising to share more of this delightful fruit. Sephi, feeling guilty, apologizes for worrying everyone and resolves to respond to letters properly. Yugu offers to help her with writing, mentioning his grandfather's teachings. Surprised by his offer, Sephi gratefully accepts, while nearby, a clatter draws attention to a startled reaction. Sephi chuckles warmly, appreciating Yugu's thoughtful gesture. Though she teases him about his taste, Yugu, slightly flustered, insists on the cuteness of his choice. While Sephi's laughter fills the room, nearby, a large stuffed animal sits with an expression of quiet indifference, adding to the light-hearted atmosphere. As the sun rises over a quaint village, our protagonist stretches by an open window, savoring the fresh morning air. He remarks on the beautiful weather, feeling invigorated by the day ahead. Suddenly, a voice calls out, warning that breakfast is at risk of burning, prompting him to spring into action. As breakfast is served, the protagonist reflects on his recent drawing lessons with Makino-san. Engaged in conversation, he considers bringing her a thank-you gift, noting her fondness for cheese. Meanwhile, a young girl eagerly devours her meal, chiming in about Makino-san being the lady from the shop next door. The protagonist and a young girl sit at the table, discussing the tavern's expanding menu thanks to new dairy products. He suggests adding fresh vegetables, while the girl, munching on pickled ones, seems content with the current offerings. Their playful exchange highlights the balance between innovation and tradition in their culinary choices. The protagonist explains the difficulty of obtaining fresh vegetables due to the poor soil caused by the labyrinth beneath the town. He imagines how the menu could expand with items like tomatoes, though currently, only hardy tubers and pickled vegetables are available. Fresh produce is flown in by wyvern delivery, but the cost makes them a luxury few can afford. The protagonist eagerly sketches a red, round vegetable, describing its refreshing tanginess and potential to enhance dishes like pizza and caprese salad. Excited by the idea, he decides to present the drawing to the guild to initiate a gathering request. Meanwhile, the young girl offers to help by drawing it, though she doubts if the sketch will be recognizable. The protagonist is amazed by the young girl's sketch, exclaiming that it perfectly captures a tomato. He praises her artistic talent, suggesting she might become an artist someday. Meanwhile, he reflects on the existence of fruits similar to apples and pears, believing tomatoes must also be out there in this world. The protagonist presents the drawing to the guild, requesting any vegetables resembling the sketch be brought in. The guild member, surprised by the unusual request for vegetables, agrees to the task. Meanwhile, the guild master enters, curious about the commotion, as another member questions the necessity of a vegetable gathering request. The guild member examines the sketch, pondering the unusual request. Meanwhile, dragons soar through the sky, their wings cutting through the clouds. The guild master, wearing sunglasses, considers the drawing with a thoughtful expression. Dragons fill the sky, capturing the protagonist's awe. He stands with a companion, marveling at the bustling wyvern landing site where packages are exchanged between distant towns. A friendly figure greets him, inquiring if he has anything to send. The protagonist listens as a companion shares how popular labyrinth cuisine has become, even delivering a whole crate recently. Meanwhile, a dragon sniffs curiously at the protagonist, who nervously remarks about not being used to dragons yet. Suddenly, the dragon's tail is pulled by a child, causing surprise and confusion. The protagonist wonders if he startled the dragon, while a companion reassures the creature, coaxing it gently. The dragon, initially apprehensive, slowly approaches as the companion soothes it with calming words. The dragon relaxes, comforted by the gentle touch and reassuring voice. The protagonist and his companion discuss the dragon's tameness, with the companion explaining the effort it took to achieve. A friendly figure comments on the dragon's cuteness, noting its universal appeal. The protagonist then shifts the conversation, inquiring about a peculiar vegetable, hoping for some insight. The protagonist excitedly inquires about the existence of the elusive crimson melon, eager to know where it can be found. A companion confirms its existence, mentioning a recent delivery of bottled ones to the capital. Despite the distance and challenges, the protagonist insists on acquiring a fresh one, undeterred by the obstacles. The protagonist eagerly pleads for help, assuring that money is no obstacle in the quest for the crimson melon. Despite the daunting logistics and costs, a companion agrees to assist, recognizing the urgency. With arrangements made, they await the guild's request and the melon's arrival, hopeful for success. The protagonist examines a soggy tomato, lamenting that even magical cooling during transport failed to preserve it. Despite its shriveled appearance, they note with relief that it's not rotten. Taking a bite, our hero confirms that while the texture is terrible, the taste unmistakably remains that of a tomato. The protagonist reflects on the unexpected warmth in their stomach after eating, pondering if dragons keep their fire in a similar way. Imagining a dragon soaring, they muse on the otherworldly sensation. Meanwhile, a young companion announces a delivery from the guild, prompting the protagonist to lament the high cost for such quality, realizing fresh vegetables are indeed a luxury. The protagonist is overwhelmed as they examine the peculiar items gathered by adventurers, none of which are usable. A young companion holds a dangerous lava bead, prompting a plea to avoid bringing such perilous objects. Frustrated, our hero laments the lack of progress, feeling the weight of their struggles. The young companion curiously examines the seeds, wondering if they are from a crimson melon, and asks if they can try growing them. With a decisive shunk, the shovel digs into the earth, preparing a spot for planting. Our hero, hopeful, agrees with the companion's plan to sing and tell stories to the seeds, wishing for their successful growth. The young companion observes the thriving weeds, noting their resilience. Our hero cautions against high hopes due to the poor soil quality, explaining the plant's origin from a labyrinth. As they reflect on the plant's robust nature, the companion begins to sing a cheerful praise song, encouraging the seeds to grow strong. The plant stands wilted, a sign of its struggle despite having grown. Our hero observes its unhealthy state, attributing the issue to a lack of nutrients, while the young companion suggests more water, only to be reminded that too much isn't beneficial either. With a spark of inspiration, our hero decides to visit the gardening shop for fertilizer, hoping to revive the plant's vitality. The young companion expresses eagerness to give the plant some fertilizer, pondering if it might be a temporary fix. Our hero, needing to prep the shop, suggests going together tomorrow, but the companion insists on going alone, worried the plant might wither if they delay. Surprised, the hero questions the companion's readiness to shop solo for the first time. The young companion stands determined, ready to take on the errand alone, while the hero contemplates the wisdom of letting them go. Despite initial hesitation, the hero acknowledges that this experience is part of their growth. With a mix of concern and encouragement, the hero offers advice on safety and handling money, ensuring the companion is prepared for the journey to the gardening shop. With determination shining in their eyes, the young companion confidently tells their father to stay and prepare the shop. Clutching a list and a small bag, they stride forward, eager to prove their independence. As they set off on their first solo errand, their father watches with a mix of pride and apprehension. As Aano walks through the bustling street, she appears unusually nervous, a stark contrast to her usual confidence. Observing her from a distance, the protagonist worries about her well-being, especially when she accidentally bumps into someone. His heart races with concern, regretting not accompanying her. Aano, trying to maintain her composure, explains she's on an errand when approached by a curious passerby. The man recognizes her as the tavern girl and comments on her independence. Despite her nerves, she manages to offer a free drink at the tavern, leaving him impressed by her resilience. Aano, with her distinctive horns and tail, is recognized by a passerby who praises her independence. Another woman expresses admiration for her running errands alone, while a friendly figure advises her to take care. Aano, with a bright smile, confidently replies, "Yup," as she mentions heading to the gardener's shop. Aano walks confidently down the bustling street, her presence drawing the attention of curious onlookers. A young man peeks from behind a corner, his eyes wide with intrigue. Nearby, a woman in a hat exchanges warm farewells with two grateful children, their cheerful expressions lighting up the scene. Aano stands before a friendly gardener who hands her a small bonus with a warm smile. Nearby, a young man watches from behind a stack of crates, satisfied with the successful completion of his task. Aano gazes at a sunflower, her eyes wide with wonder and delight. A young boy, feeling proud, observes the kindness shown to Aano, realizing he needn't have worried. Nearby, a group of children playfully taunt each other, one daring another to hit him with a mud ball. Laughter fills the air as they prepare for a playful showdown, their spirits high and carefree. The playful chaos unfolds as a mud ball flies through the air, aimed at the unsuspecting group. A young boy's urgent shout of "Watch out!" echoes, eyes wide with alarm. Aano, clutching her sunflower, turns in surprise as the children scatter in the lively scene. Aano's tail instinctively swats the mud ball away with a swift smack, leaving her unfazed. The children, oblivious to the near miss, feel a sudden gust of wind and look around in confusion. Meanwhile, the young man behind the crates watches with a mix of surprise and relief, realizing Aano's strength and resilience. Aano gazes at the sunflower, a cherished gift from her very first errand, now slightly damaged. Her eyes widen with mixed emotions as she processes the situation. Her expression a blend of surprise and concern. Despite the setback, she gently picks up the fallen petals, determined to preserve the memory. Aano, with determination, tears open the fertilizer bag, her actions observed by the young man peeking from behind the crates. As she completes her task, she reassures herself with a soft, "There! All done." While holding the slightly damaged sunflower, with a gentle smile, she suggests, "Let's go home together." As the young man, overwhelmed with emotion, bursts into tears behind her. The young man wipes his tears, reflecting on Aano's growth and kindness, marveling at how she figured things out on her own. His thoughts drift to grafting, a technique usually for citrus trees. As he examines the labyrinth weeds in his hand, curiosity piqued. He wonders about the possibilities this newfound knowledge might bring. The young man, slightly out of breath, greets Aano with excitement, eager to share his discovery. He examines a plant closely, convinced it might be a related species due to its similar scent to the labyrinth weed. With determination, he decides to feed the crimson melon, hopeful about the possibilities his guess might unlock. The young man asks Aano if he can take a branch from her plant once it's healthy. Eager to test a theory, he explains grafting, comparing it to a plant version of transplant surgery, where a sweet but fragile branch is joined with a sturdy, disease-resistant tree. This process allows the strong tree to nourish the weaker branch, enabling it to produce sweet fruit. The young man scratches his head, uncertain about the success of his experiment. Admitting he's never tried this before, he contemplates grafting a crimson melon branch onto labyrinthweed roots. Hopeful yet unsure, 20 days later, the plant flourishes, adorned with an abundance of ripe fruit, a testament to his innovative approach. The young man and Aano gaze in amazement at the flourishing plant, now bearing fruit. Despite initial doubts, the graft has succeeded. Invigorated by the weed's vitality, the fruits, resembling cherry tomatoes, are smaller and cuter than typical crimson melons, sparking excitement to taste the results of their experiment. The young man savors the mini crimson melon, its crisp, refreshing taste delighting his senses. He notes its unique texture, popping with each bite, though it lacks the warmth of the original. Meanwhile, Aano contemplates the potential culinary uses, pondering whether to serve it raw, sautéed, or as a sauce, as they discuss how this new addition could enhance their menu. The young man and Aano explore culinary possibilities with their new creation. They envision a crimson melon and cheese caprese, pairing the fruit with cheese for a refreshing appetizer. Next, they consider a crimson melon meat pasta, featuring a rich cloud meat sauce. Finally, they dream up a sandwich with crimson melon and cheese, topped with moonfruit dressing, ideal for a delightful take-home treat. The man is taken aback by the vibrant pasta in front of him, exclaiming at its striking appearance and delicious taste. Someone nearby clarifies that the sauce is made from crimson melons, not blood, while another person proudly claims to have grown the melons themselves. Meanwhile, the atmosphere is warm and inviting as others enjoy their meals, including a comforting bowl of minestrone. Yoichi is caught off guard when someone suggests he's overworking Aano, but he sheepishly admits it might be true. Aano, however, reassures him with a determined smile, proud of her newfound independence in running errands. The room erupts in applause, celebrating her growing confidence and capabilities. As laughter fills the room, a friend teases Yoichi about his emotional nature, warning him about fatherhood. Another voice chimes in, reflecting on how quickly children grow up, while a lively debate ensues about parental worries and choosing partners. Amidst the banter, a plant thrives by the window, symbolizing growth and nurturing. The protagonist sharpens his knife with precision, proudly showcasing it to an unseen elder. As he confidently holds the blade, a customer inquires about purchasing crimson melons, to which he casually confirms they do, inviting the transaction. The town has become more vibrant, with colorful houses lining the streets, thanks to the protagonist sharing the secrets of growing crimson melons. Home gardening has surged in popularity. This easy supply has been a boon, attracting important visitors and putting the town on the map. The guildmaster makes a dramatic entrance, capturing everyone's attention with his commanding presence. Patrons whisper in surprise, questioning why such an important figure would visit a casual establishment. As he surveys the menu, he acknowledges the impressive variety, leaving the protagonist to modestly explain the unexpected growth of their offerings. The guildmaster, intrigued by the menu's illustrations, learns they were drawn by the protagonist's daughter, surprised by her horns. He confirms their authenticity. Despite the absence of crab, he decides on the recommended course and requests some wine, maintaining his composed demeanor. The guildmaster samples the stone walnut bread, savoring its crunchy texture and sweet aroma. He moves on to the mushroom meat hamburger steak, appreciating its tender juiciness and refreshing sauce. Finally, he tastes the marinated crimson melon and bonefish, noting its light, refreshing flavor with a subtle hint of meat fat, while the protagonist observes his composed review with admiration. The guildmaster, satisfied with his meal, expresses his contentment as he leaves. He declines the invitation to return, citing the commotion his presence might cause among the regulars. He reveals his visit was prompted by curiosity about the establishment's new management. The protagonist learns about the tavern's previous owner, a revered figure among adventurers who chose this life over becoming guildmaster. Curious about the protagonist's motivations, the guildmaster inquires why he took over the establishment. The protagonist, caught off guard, reflects on his passion for unique culinary experiences and the allure of capital-level flavors. The guildmaster questions the protagonist's intentions, suggesting motives like fame or fortune. Flustered, the protagonist quickly denies such ambitions. With a calm demeanor, the guildmaster offers a position in his cafeteria, advising the protagonist to consider the proposal without haste. The guildmaster departs with a request to be informed when crab is available, leaving the protagonist pondering his apparent fondness for the delicacy. Our hero, surprised by the conversation, wonders if he has just been scouted for something greater. Meanwhile, the tavern's patrons, Yugadora and Sephi, are called to attention, while another customer eagerly anticipates the return of crab to the menu. Yoichi-san expresses disbelief at the guildmaster's visit. While the conversation shifts to the possibility of finding crab in the labyrinth, another character suggests that while they've never seen crab, the presence of shells and fish might make it possible. A humorous exchange follows about a creature called rock steel, with one character pointing out it's just a rock, not suitable for culinary use. Yugadora playfully challenges Sephi to guess his thoughts, teasing her about being an airhead. Sephi confidently responds, only to be caught off guard by Yugadora's sweet comment about her looking cute when enjoying food. Flustered, Sephi protests while another character looks on silently, adding to the lighthearted atmosphere. As the playful banter continues, one character teasingly questions Yoichi about his type. Catching him off guard, Yoichi, slightly flustered, admits he hasn't really thought about it, while another character observes the interaction, suspecting it looks like flirting. Despite the lighthearted atmosphere, Yoichi remains nonchalant, dismissing the conversation as mere small talk. As the group enjoys their meal, one character praises the pizza, marveling at how the tartness of the crimson melon complements the cheese perfectly. Meanwhile, another character contemplates their ideal type, musing that they might be drawn to someone who truly enjoys their food. The conversation shifts to thoughts on strong women, with playful banter continuing as the characters discuss their preferences, adding a light-hearted touch to the scene. The group examines a mud crab, relieved it's not a golem. One character suggests boiling it to taste, recalling how these creatures thrash before dying, affecting the meat's quality. Despite their efforts, the taste is disappointing, watery, and muddy, highlighting the challenge of preparing it properly. The group discusses the notorious mud crab, known for its resilience and the challenge it poses in preparation. One character recalls a legendary swordsman who used a cursed blade to kill the crab instantly, resulting in a delicious meal. Reflecting on this, another character considers asking for the crab to be brought in dead next time to avoid the thrashing that ruins its taste. The group gathers around a bubbling tub, eyeing the live mud crab inside. While one character expresses relief at its arrival, another can't help but find it cute. Despite the creature's intimidating appearance, a determined member steps forward, ready to handle the task. Chaos erupts as the mud crab splashes wildly, causing the group to scramble in panic. Despite their best efforts, the creature's thrashing leaves it lifeless and the taste disappointing. Reflecting on the ordeal, one character laments the poor flavor, acknowledging the struggle to prepare it properly. One character suggests using sleeping meds to avoid the crab's thrashing, hoping for stress-free preparation. However, another reflects on the strange taste resulting from the meds reacting with the crab. Despite attempts to purge the mud and nerve-kill the creature, the stress flavor lingers, leaving a disappointing taste. Frustrated, the protagonist exclaims in exasperation, seeking advice on handling the troublesome crab. As the protagonist proposes a bold idea to chop the crab into tiny bits instantly, skepticism arises from a companion questioning the lack of a magic sword. Undeterred, the protagonist confidently reaches for a mysterious tool, prompting a concerned warning about its precious nature. The atmosphere grows tense as determination fills the protagonist's eyes. With swift precision, the protagonist unleashes a flurry of slashes, effortlessly slicing the troublesome crab into neat pieces. As the severed parts hit the ground with a thud, the protagonist turns with a satisfied smile, declaring the task complete. However, the wriggling remains elicit a startled scream, hinting that the crab's tenacity might not be fully subdued. As the mysterious tool clatters to the ground with a decisive clunk, a companion cries out in alarm, reaching out in vain. The protagonist's expression shifts to one of surprise, while another companion watches with a mix of concern and curiosity. Kneeling down, the protagonist retrieves the tool, contemplating the unexpected turn of events. The protagonist kneels, holding a knife with a solemn expression, explaining its significance as an inheritance. A young girl watches, her eyes wide with curiosity and a hint of apprehension. As he gently pats her head, a sense of reassurance and warmth fills the air, easing the tension between them. The protagonist gently warns Aano about the dangers of knives, emphasizing their importance. He shares that the knife is a cherished keepsake from his grandfather, hoping she will help take care of it. Aano, feeling reassured, apologizes softly, while he comforts her, mentioning that Dog can repair the knife if needed. Aano, flustered, apologizes profusely as she rushes past, leaving the protagonist to reflect on the challenges of raising children. He sits with a weary expression, acknowledging the difficulty of the task. Resigned, he decides to focus on cleaning up the mess left behind. The protagonist reflects on the challenge of cooking mud crabs, revealing an unexpected solution. The boiled frog method. By gradually raising the temperature, the crabs remain unaware of the danger, much like the metaphorical frog. This method ensures the crabs stay calm, allowing for a more effective preparation. A lavish spread of mud crab dishes, including butter grill, gratin, and sashimi, adorns the table. The protagonist savors the taste, noting the firm and meaty texture, while a curious companion inquires if the crabs were shipped from the capital. With a satisfied grin, the protagonist reveals the secret to their success, having mastered the art of preparing mud crabs. The protagonist's companion marvels at the skillful preparation of labyrinth ingredients, suggesting the use of a cursed sword. With a confident smile, the protagonist clarifies that it's all thanks to their unique boiled frog technique. As they enjoy the meal, the companion playfully praises the protagonist's ability to transform the inedible into a culinary delight, while the protagonist humbly downplays the compliment. The protagonist is approached by a bespectacled individual holding a dish, who inquires about a previous discussion. As the protagonist reflects, they recall the reason behind running the tavern, emphasizing their simple desire to provide good food for everyone. Despite the curiosity surrounding their motivations, the protagonist remains focused on their passion for culinary excellence. As the protagonist reflects on their culinary philosophy, they express a desire for people to see food as both delicious and enjoyable, not just a necessity. Meanwhile, a conversation unfolds about a hardware shop owner, rumored to have been an adventurer. However, it's revealed that he's been dedicated to blacksmithing since childhood. Much like the protagonist's own focus on cooking, amidst playful banter, someone dismisses the adventurer tale as just another one of Dog's tall tales. The protagonist exchanges a warm smile with a satisfied customer, who promises to return if more crab is available. With a confident nod, our hero assures the diner that they'll be eagerly awaiting his return. As the customer departs, the protagonist lets out a small sigh of relief, pleased with another successful evening. As the evening settles, Aano peeks through the door, calling for their dad. The father, slightly amused, remarks on the unpredictability of each day. Aano, determined, insists on learning how to use a knife, prompting a resigned yet affectionate response from their father, acknowledging that the day isn't quite over yet. Aano stands attentively beside their father, who gently instructs them on the proper grip for a knife. The warmth of their bond is palpable as they share this quiet moment in the cozy kitchen. With someone big watching over her, their connection grows even stronger. The protagonist receives a specialized scale scraper for mud crabs, expressing gratitude as it will expedite the preparation of a new menu item. The guild master comments on the rarity of crab dishes. While the protagonist ponders the need for tastier alcohol, suddenly, the guild master is taken aback, questioning if the protagonist was ever truly an adventurer. As workers are called back to their posts, the protagonist contemplates crafting a more elaborate dish. With the abundance of labyrinth ingredients, a seafood-style mix of crab meat and bonefish is chosen as the main component. Using crimson melon puree as a base, the dish is accented with phantom meat bacon, croutons sautéed in dungeon butter and powdered cheese, and finished with crushed stone walnuts for added flavor. The diners savor the exquisite crab meat cocktail salad, exclaiming its deliciousness with delight. They admire its cute presentation, likening it to a high-end restaurant appetizer. The dish's complex yet balanced flavors leave them in awe, as the chef blushes at their enthusiastic praise. The diners, still buzzing from the delightful meal, turn their attention to the drinks. One of them notes that while the adventurer's sake and wine complement the dishes beautifully, the beer seems rather ordinary. The protagonist, maintaining a humble demeanor, explains that they are simply serving the beer as it is, prompting a nod of understanding from the curious diner. The protagonist reflects on a past consultation with Alcor about brewing, lamenting the lack of quality barley in the labyrinth. Despite efforts to find better ingredients, they are left using market barley, which lacks the desired bitterness from hops. They ponder that beer in their original world is crafted from water, barley, and hops, realizing that adding hops might solve the issue. The protagonist, with a determined look, asks for help in finding a specific ingredient. They describe it as something bitter with a unique shape, handing over a drawing for reference. The companion, understanding the challenge, apologizes for past mix-ups but reassures the protagonist that their request will be taken seriously this time. In the cozy atmosphere of the diner, a child eagerly requests 2 more pizzas from their dad, who responds with a cheerful, "Coming right up." Meanwhile, the protagonist reminisces about their love for treasure hunts, sharing a fond memory from their small hometown village. They recall how Sephi discovered a treasure map, leading to an adventure where they unearthed beautiful glass beads beneath a marked tree. Reflecting on the past, the protagonist recalls how they pretended not to notice the significance of the glass beads Sephi cherished. They realize the true value lay in the closeness of the treasure all along. Meanwhile, a lively atmosphere fills the diner as a server calls out that the pizza is ready, while a comment about Yoshi's density adds a touch of humor to the scene. The protagonist examines a pine cone with curiosity, pondering its unusual presence. As they take a bite, a crunch echoes, and they realize it's tasteless, reflecting on a past conversation. They acknowledge they hadn't specified the color, leading to this unexpected culinary experiment. The protagonist examines a piece of bark from a tree with cloudy white sap, contemplating its potential despite its bitter taste. Determined to experiment, they decide to boil it and mix it with beer. Though the initial taste is reminiscent of wood chips, accepting the challenge, they resolve to consult a brewer, acknowledging that things rarely go as planned. Amidst a backdrop of rustic rooftops, the protagonist shares their ambitious plan to brew beer using labyrinth ingredients. A curious brewer, surprised by the idea, listens intently as our hero admits to struggling with ingredient selection. Encouraged by past collaborations, the brewer eagerly offers assistance, confident in their ability to contribute to this new venture. The protagonist inquires about finding a bitter ingredient, prompting the brewer to question the purpose of bitterness. Reflecting on the origins of beer, our hero ponders why hops were mixed into barley in their original world. The brewer explains that adding bitterness is unusual, while the protagonist considers that it wasn't the initial intention, leading to a discussion on the development of beer and the practical use of surplus barley. The protagonist explains that barley typically lasts for about 5 months, but processing it into beer extends its shelf life to 7 months. They note that adding hops further increases preservation due to its antibacterial properties. With a determined look, our hero decides to focus on improving the beer's preservation and trusting the brewing process to the eager brewer. Our hero decides to experiment with salt and vinegar beer, inspired by traditional preservation methods. The brewer grimaces at the taste, clearly unimpressed. Meanwhile, a young girl named Aano brings moon fruit juice, but finds the fizzy beverage a bit too much for her taste. Our hero examines a peculiar stone walnut, pondering its potential. A companion mentions that treasures are often found nearby, sparking curiosity. The protagonist learns that by extracting the bitter liquid inside with a syringe, the walnut becomes edible, recalling it as the first labyrinth dish. Our hero ponders the purpose of the bitter sac within the stone walnut, questioning if it serves an antibacterial role. Reflecting on past experiences, they recall a failed attempt to make acorn bread, where mold overtook the nuts despite efforts to remove tannins. The realization that tree nuts rot quickly adds to the mystery of the walnut's bitter defense. Our hero stands up with determination, ready to test a new theory, observing the damp environment where stone walnuts thrive. They consider the possibility that the walnuts evolved to prevent rotting. Using a syringe, the protagonist extracts the bitter liquid, adding just 2 drops to a drink, and is surprised by the beer-like taste. 20 days have passed, and our hero eagerly holds a glass, contemplating the perfect blend needed for their creation. They realize the bitterness adds a refreshing flavor and sweetness, sparking the idea to collaborate with Alcor for proper brewing. Excitement fills the air as a young girl announces the arrival of the bitter ingredient, prompting a cheerful acknowledgement from the protagonist. The protagonist discusses the potential of the bitter liquid, suggesting it could tenderize meat in a beer stew. Enthusiastically, they decide to make some stew, while a young girl suggests chilling the beer with a magic stone. As the phantom meat sizzles in the pan, our hero explains how the alcohol and carbonation will enhance the dish, eagerly pouring in the beer once the aroma is just right. As the phantom meat sizzles enticingly, our hero adds roughly chopped crimson melons to the pan, their eyes stinging from the rising steam. Despite the discomfort, they remain focused on perfecting the dish. Nearby, a chilled beer awaits, ready to complement the beer-stewed phantom meat. With eager anticipation, the group prepares to dig into the freshly made dish. The young girl exclaims in delight at its appearance, while the protagonist proudly notes the faint beer flavor and tender texture. As they savor the taste, our hero takes a sip of the chilled beer, ready for the main attraction. Our hero takes a hearty sip of the chilled beer, savoring its refreshing taste with a satisfied, delicious. Meanwhile, a playful exchange unfolds as the young girl comments on the foam, likening it to a morning beard. Despite her curiosity, she refuses to drink, finding it too bitter, while our protagonist reassures her that one day they can enjoy it together. The protagonist welcomes a new guest into the cozy establishment, where a fresh batch of good beer awaits. The guest is greeted warmly, and the enticing aroma of alcohol fills the air. A playful accusation arises about early taste testing, but it's brushed off with a light-hearted denial, setting a jovial tone for the gathering. In a peaceful town entwined with labyrinthine streets, a minstrel strums his lute, serenading passers-by with a song about the journey's end. The melody, filled with tales of wandering and heartfelt emotions, captivates the townsfolk. Amidst the music, a young man pauses, a smile spreading across his face as he remarks on the enchanting voice carried by the wind. The young man approaches the minstrel, complimenting the song's allure. The minstrel, confident in his craft, acknowledges that his music is a surefire way to gather an audience. As they converse, the young man inquires about the minstrel's plans for the evening performance, sparking a potential collaboration. As the minstrel and the young man continue their conversation, they stand outside a bustling bar. A passerby comments on the bar's popularity, hinting at the potential for a lucrative evening. The young man, eager to perform, is reassured by the prospect of a lively crowd. A lively scene unfolds as a young girl, startled by the presence of customers, rushes to change her attire. The minstrel and the young man exchange curious glances. Pondering the girl's unusual appearance, the minstrel chuckles, remarking on the bar's intriguing atmosphere, while the young man firmly states that the girl is his daughter, adding a touch of familial pride. The minstrel captivates the crowd with a mesmerizing melody, his voice echoing through the lively bar. A woman, entranced by the performance, sighs with admiration, while a man demands another round of beer and stew. Seemingly unimpressed yet acknowledging the talent, nearby, a girl contemplates inviting the minstrel, her curiosity piqued by his enchanting presence. Coins clink into the minstrel's hat, a testament to his captivating performance. Encouraged by the crowd's enthusiasm, he ponders his next song with a playful grin. Observing his success, he reflects on the generous patrons and the lively atmosphere of the bar. The minstrel is treated to a hearty meal as a gesture of gratitude, his eyes lighting up with delight. He eagerly takes a sip of the drink, savoring the rich flavors, and exclaims its deliciousness. The bustling bar hums with chatter, as patrons indulge in the renowned food and drink, living up to the rumors of Yoshi's bar. The minstrel, intrigued by the rumors, questions Yoshi's legendary culinary skills, wondering if he can truly transform anything into a delectable dish. Yoshi, modestly clarifying, admits that while he can't use just anything, labyrinth ingredients are a different story. With a curious glint, the minstrel presents a mysterious item, challenging Yoshi's abilities further. The minstrel presents a peculiar item, claiming it to be a transparent vegetable from the labyrinth's middle layers. Yoshi, intrigued yet skeptical, examines the invisible produce, noting its surprising weight and cabbage-like texture. Despite the minstrel's astonishment, Yoshi decides to taste the mysterious vegetable, eager to uncover its secrets. The minstrel confidently assures Yoshi of his culinary prowess, believing the bar's reputation speaks for itself. Yoshi, tasting the mysterious vegetable, finds it devoid of flavor, prompting a moment of doubt. However, the minstrel insists on the bar's acclaim, leading Yoshi to agree to a deal, inviting the minstrel to perform in exchange for a new culinary creation. Yoshi examines the transparent cabbage, determined to uncover its secrets. The minstrel explains its dual nature as both a decorative and culinary item, revealing that soaking it in vinegar or lye alters its appearance. Intrigued by its unique properties, Yoshi contemplates the potential of this mysterious vegetable, aware of its popularity and the challenges it presents. Yoshi ponders the possibilities of the mysterious vegetable, contemplating boiling it to make it more palatable. He considers shredding it and adding dressing to transform it into something edible. However, the core proves too tough, and Yoshi realizes with frustration that it resembles thick paper soaked in vinegar. The young girl bravely decides to try eating the mysterious vegetable. Despite Yoshi's warning about its toughness, she chews determinedly, but the crunching sound suggests it's as hard as it looks. With a grimace, she admits it tastes terrible, likening it to a stone, while Yoshi expresses concern for her teeth. The young girl opens her mouth wide, revealing her impressive fangs, which catch Yoshi's attention. He can't help but comment on their remarkable appearance, causing her to react with embarrassment. As Yoshi stares in awe, she playfully protests, urging him not to look at her like that, while he chuckles at her reaction. In a lively tavern, a charismatic bard captivates the crowd with his enchanting music, earning requests for another song. Amidst the cheers, Yoshi and the young girl observe the bard's popularity, noting his elegant appearance and melodious voice. As the bard contemplates his next performance, he considers weaving a tale about the town's adventurers, sparking curiosity and excitement. The bard calls for the crowd's attention, ready to share an enchanting tale. As patrons speculate about the story's subject, excitement fills the air, with one adventurer hoping it's about his recent achievements. Meanwhile, two friends listen intently, recognizing the tale of a brave swordsman and a beautiful mage, reminiscent of their own adventures. The lively atmosphere of the tavern is tinged with a hint of concern as Yoshi is asked if he can intervene, but he admits it's probably impossible. Meanwhile, a humorous tale unfolds about a failed experiment with a spiritual elixir, leaving the subject transparent and regretful. Amidst the laughter, one friend checks on Yoshi's mood, while another sighs, pondering better ideas. As the bard's song fills the tavern, one friend teases Yoshi, suggesting the song might be about him. Yoshi deflects with a playful cough, claiming a sore throat, while another friend urges him to join in the singing. Amidst the banter, a more serious moment arises as a friend seeks Yoshi's opinion, hinting at deeper feelings. A concerned child asks their father if he needs medicine for his sore throat, but he brushes it off, mentioning they're out of medicine. The child confidently suggests a remedy found in the labyrinth, involving the breath of a blizzard-breathing wolf and a withered purple tree. The father is intrigued by the peculiar method, considering the possibility. The child confidently explains that a customer once mentioned the remedy, seeking confirmation from their father. The father, surprised by the child's knowledge, questions how they knew about the tree ant. Meanwhile, Another character reflects on their encounters with tray ants in the lower layers, unaware of their sensitivity to cold. The protagonist suddenly has a revelation, realizing that sap produced during winter and early spring transforms into medicine due to the cold. Excitedly, he identifies the key ingredient as undersnow cabbage. While a child looks on in curiosity, frustrated with himself for not thinking of it sooner, he acknowledges the significance of this discovery. Winter poses a formidable challenge for plants as temperatures plummet below freezing. Moisture within the cells freezes and expands, threatening to destroy the plant's cellular structure. Yet, plants have ingeniously adapted, developing an antifreeze to protect themselves, a principle akin to why thawed vegetables turn mushy or frozen pipes burst. The protagonist explains how some plants and trees use a sweet antifreeze fluid to survive the cold, with maple syrup being a prime example. He reveals that undersnow cabbage utilizes this antifreeze, becoming sweet when preserved in snow. Excitedly, he speculates about making transparent cabbage sweet, sharing his enthusiasm with the curious onlookers. The protagonist carefully places the transparent cabbage in the freezer, adjusting the dial to lower the temperature gradually. He reminds himself to be cautious, ensuring it doesn't freeze completely. With determination, he resolves to wait, hoping his experiment will succeed. As 3 days pass by, the protagonist and his companion are thrilled to discover that the transparent cabbage didn't freeze, confirming the success of the antifreeze experiment. With excitement, he begins to julienne the cabbage, explaining the presence of antifreeze fluid inside. As he drains the water thoroughly, anticipation builds for the moment they can finally taste their creation. The protagonist and his companion savor the taste of their creation, delighting in its flavor. He explains his next steps, planning to massage the roughly chopped transparent cabbage with salt and oil. As the cabbage sizzles, he envisions pairing it with thinly sliced meat, enhancing the dish's appeal. The protagonist proudly presents a dish of seared thinly sliced phantom meat with salt sauce, accompanied by julienne transparent cabbage. As they savor the meal, one companion exclaims in delight at the unexpected sweetness of the once tasteless cabbage. Reflecting on the effort, the protagonist expresses relief and satisfaction at their timely success. A bard, praised for his talents, contemplates his journey to the next town, grateful for the mysterious meal he's enjoyed. As he stands, he gathers the attention of the crowd, ready to share one last tale. With a lute in hand, he introduces a story about a unique hero who wields neither sword nor magic, captivating his audience. In the warm glow of the tavern, the bard captivates the crowd with his lute, weaving tales of Yoshi's Bar, a haven for adventurers seeking solace and satisfaction. The audience, a mix of eager faces, listens intently as he recounts the magical transformation of simple ingredients into a feast that even the most impossible demands could not deter. Laughter and cheers fill the air, as the bard's melody turns the night into a celebration of culinary wonders and camaraderie. The patrons at the bar share a moment of appreciation for the bard's song, acknowledging its charm and the way it celebrates the hall of gastronomy. As they discuss the song's potential to be shared far and wide, a sense of pride fills the air, though one of them admits to feeling a bit embarrassed by the attention. Laughter and camaraderie continue to flow, as they anticipate the bard's next tale of culinary magic.